Shooter. Welcome to the live stream. Let's get it started. We'll see how long this one lasts. I don't know if we're going to get knocked for copyright infringement or not.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce.
All right. We are going to be working in Shapr today.
He's waiting for us in his study. A cheerful blaze crackling on the hearth.
Very relieved to see you, Mr. Manning. Hasn't the weather been atrocious today? I was beginning to wonder if you'd be able to get here tonight through all this fog.
Yes, it certainly is what you Londoners call a regular pea souper.
Yes, indeed. It reminds me of the adventure of the missing submarine plans. The case that was solved in the underground.
Underground?
What you Americans call a subway.
Yes, but what has the solution in a subway got to do with a foggy night?
Well, you see, the affair started in weather exactly like this. It was the third week in November, the year 1895, to be exact. On Monday, a dense yellow fog had settled down upon London. On Thursday, it was still there, thicker and murkier than ever. At first, Holmes had turned his nervous energy to cross-indexing his huge reference books. But when, after pushing our breakfast chairs back for the fourth morning, we saw the greasy brown swirl still drifting past the windows, Holmes's patience snapped. Holmes, if you must pace around in circles, I wish you'd change directions now and then. You're making me dizzy.
It's inexcusable, Watson. Inexcusable. No initiative, no imagination. Nothing ever gets done.
You're alluding to the inactivity in this last session of Parliament, my dear Holmes.
I'm not speaking of our lawmakers, Watson, but of our lawbreakers. The London criminal is certainly a dull fellow.
What makes you say that?
Well, look out of the window. Ideal weather for committing a crime. The criminal advances on his intended victim practically unseen. He pounces and disappears into thin air.
There have been numerous petty thefts, I believe.
Petty thefts, pickpockets, ragamuffins. What's the country coming to? Now,
Ragamuffins.
I, for one, would move to America.
Oh, hello. Mrs. Hudson is knocking. Excited. What's up, I wonder? What is it? Oh, it's a telegram for me.
Yes, sir.
Very well, thank you.
Oh, what's it say?
Oh, wait till I open it, can't you? Ah, dear me, what next? Most unusual, Watson, most unusual.
It is.
Most unusual, Watson. What's it say?
No, it's from my brother, Mycroft. You remember him? He helped us solve the case of the Greek interpreter. He's coming here.
Why not? What's so phenomenal about that?
Why not, indeed? It's as startling as it would be to meet a tram car coming down a country lane. Yes, now I come to think of it. Mycroft is rather like a tram car. His rails lead from his Pall Mall lodgings to the Diogenes Club in Whitehall. That's his circle. I wonder what upheaval could have derailed it.
Doesn't the telegram explain?
It says, must see you about Cadogan West, coming at once.
Cadogan West? Cadogan West? Why, that's the young chap who's found dead in the underground on Tuesday morning. I remember reading about it in the papers.
Oh?
The young man had apparently fallen out of the train and killed himself. He hadn't been robbed, and there was no reason to suspect violence. Quite an uninteresting case, if I remember correctly.
And yet, it's serious enough to cause Mycroft to alter his habits. No, Watson. This must be an extraordinary event. Do you recall any other facts about the affair?
Yes, I come to think of it, there was one unusual bit came out of the inquest. They were unable to ascertain at what point he entered the train, because his ticket was missing.
Strange. What articles were found on the body?
£2.15, I believe it was, a checkbook and... Oh, yes, 2 dress circle tickets for the Woolwich Theatre. Dated for that evening.
Theatre tickets, eh? And it wasn't suicide.
2 of them.
The man doesn't procure theatre tickets for the evening on which he intends to end his life. Anything else?
A small packet of technical papers.
Technical papers? What kind of technical papers?
The newspapers didn't say.
As serious as that? What did the young man do? Where was he employed?
He was a clerk at Woolwich House.
government employ. There we have it, Watson. British government, Woolwich Arsenal, technical papers. That's why Mycroft is involved in this affair.
I don't understand.
No, I suppose not. Watson, have I ever told you what Mycroft is?
Your brother, of course.
No, Watson. Do you have to be so dense? I mean, do you know what he does?
I seem to have some vague recollection that you once told me that he'd held some small office under the British government.
It would be more accurate to say, in a way, that he is the British government.
What?
His position is unique. He made it for himself. As the tidiest and most orderly brain of any man alive, with a great capacity for storing facts and giving them the proper interpretation. The conclusions of every government department are passed on to him. He's the central exchange, the clearinghouse. Again and again, his word has decided the national policy. He thinks of nothing else. Nothing else can lure him from his contemplations.
Yet he's coming here.
Yes, Jupiter is descending on us today.
What on earth can happen?
And Watson, that sounds suspiciously like a bad pun. Here he is. If I'm not mistaken. To speak for himself.
All right, so I'm so old. I'm getting so. I sneezed today and I blew my back out. Oh. So I've been. Oh, dude, it's been getting worse. Oh, yeah.
Sit down, Mycroft, sit down. You know Watson, of course. I'm trying to find a chair that I can trust to hold me. I'd better take the sofa. You certainly haven't got any thinner. I've never seen the Prime Minister so upset. The Admiralty is buzzing like an upset beehive. You know anything about the case? Watson's just been telling me what was in the newspapers. Just what were the technical papers found on the body? Sherlock, for the love of heaven, not so loud. Those papers which the wretched youth had in his pocket were none other than the plans of the Bruce Partington submarine. Oh? The submarine which will completely revolutionize naval warfare. The most important papers in our government archives. Under no circumstances could they be removed from the office. Even the chief constructor of the Navy was forced to go to Woolwich if he desired to consult them.
Whoa.
And yet we find them in the pockets of a dead junior clerk in the heart of London.
It's all right. That's how you know you're alive.
From a point of view, it's deplorable, my dear Mycroft. Simply deplorable. You may laugh, Sherlock. But this country won't be safe until they're recovered.
I thought you said that they were found in the pocket of this chap, Cadogan West.
10 papers taken from Woolwich. 7 were found in the pockets of Cadogan West. 3 are still missing, the 3 essential ones. To recover those 3 papers is imperative. The peace of Europe depends on them. Nice little problem, eh, Watson? Why did Cadogan West take the papers? How did he die? How did his body reach the place where it was found? And where are the missing papers? Find the answer to those questions, Sherlock, and you'll have done your country an invaluable service. Why don't you solve it yourself, Mycroft? I believe you could. Possibly. But it's a question of digging out detail. Give me the details, and I can give you the solution from an armchair. No, when it comes to running about and cross-questioning railway guards and lying on one's face with a lens to one's eye, no, that's not my nature. Besides, your figure prevents your taking such an undignified position, eh? Very well. Leave that part of it was, eh, Watson?
Sure.
Good. I've got a cab waiting outside to take the place where the body was found. I can give you the details on the way. Now, Mycroft, who was the official guardian of these famous papers? No less a personage than Sir James Walker, a gentleman who was grown grey in the service. His patriotism was beyond suspicion. Bachelor, if I'm not mistaken, lives with his brother. Yes, he used the house of Admiral Sinclair at Berkeley Square during the whole of the evening when this accident occurred. The Admiral vouches for him. He's one of the 2 who have the only keys to the safe. And his key was with him all evening? Right. His key, the key to the building, the key to the room. Who was the man with the other key? The senior clerk, Mr. Sidney Johnson. Man of 40, married, silent, morose, with an excellent service record. Any alibi? He too had his key with him. Seems to have spent the evening playing a game of drafts with a green grocer around the corner from his lodgings. Of course, he has only the word of this green grocer to back him. Oh, come, my dear Mycroft. No class discriminations, please. The word of a green grocer is often just as good as that of an admiral. What about Cadogan West? He had a good reputation. A bit hot-headed, straight and honest. At least everyone thought so. He was next to Sidney Johnson at the office. His duties brought him into daily personal contact with the plans. No one else ever had the handling of them.
Oh, it's perfectly clear. He must have taken...
Not so fast, Watson, not so fast. Who locked them up that night? Mr. Sidney Johnson. They were of value, commercially, I mean. Oh, yes. There's no doubt that West could have got several thousands for them very easily. And yet, papers. To do so, he must have had a false key.
Several false keys, Sherlock. He had to open the building and the room as well.
Oh, well, several false keys then. Let me see. Suppose West did take the papers and went into town. On the way back to Woodedge, where he is hoping to replace the papers, he's killed and thrown from the train.
But the spot where the body was found is considerably past the station for London Bridge, which is the route to Woolwich.
That's interesting. Also, if young West did make an appointment with some foreign agent to sell the papers that night, why didn't he keep the evening clear? Why buy 2 theater tickets?
Exactly. Furthermore, he actually escorted his fiancée halfway there before he disappeared.
Blind. That's what it looks like to me. Why didn't you take the papers at all? Why not copy them out in the office and sell the copies? He certainly had plenty of opportunity to do so. And why the absence of his underground ticket? That ticket would have shown us which station was near the agent's house. So the murderer destroyed it. Good, Watson. Very good. Yet, I wonder.
Well, here's the underground station. The railway authorities have sent a man round to show the exact place where the body was found.
You want to change your mind and come with us?
Falling around that black hole on my hands and knees, not very likely. Well, I should expect a report on your efforts this evening.
Never expect too much, Mycroft. Never expect too much. Before we follow Holmes and Watson in cases of the London subway system, I have a word of advice. Every year, colds cause a lot of sickness. Every year, they cause a lot of expense and time lost from work. Always regard a cold seriously. Always treat it earnestly. At the first sign of a cold, take Grove's bromoquinine tablets. Bromoquinine tablets are famous relief for the distress of a cold. Their efficacy has been fully established. Bromoquinine tablets go right to work on a cold symptom. They don't waste any time. They don't pull any punches. They quickly relieve the misery of a cold. They help reduce the fever of a cold. Thousands of people keep quinine tablets handy all winter. Thousands of people depend on them as their relief. No other preparation enjoys greater confidence than bromoquinine tablets. Follow the example of millions, and at the first sign of a cold, take quinine tablets. Get them at any drugstore, a few cents a box. Ask specifically for Groves, Groves. Bromo, Bromo. Quinine, Quinine. Groves, bromoquinine tablets.
Groves tablets. Get them. Brought to you by.
This way, sir. Step right along the tracks.
It doesn't say. Supposing a train should come shooting round that curve.
Oh, that's all right, sir. There won't be another for 5 minutes anyway. Here we are, sir. This is where they found the body. Right here alongside the rails. Lying on its face it was.
Spooky old place, eh, Holmes? Like the catacombs, only without the skeleton.
Yeah. Anything in his hands when they found him? No, sir. Were they clenched? Or spread out as if he were protecting himself? No, sir. There was what you might call relax. What time did all this happen? Well, sir, the train he was hoisted out of as near passed along here about midnight on Monday. All the carriages have been examined for signs of violence, I suppose. They didn't find nothing. Not even the missing ticket. There was a passenger to Aldgate on the ordinary train. About 11:40 it was. He said he'd heard a heavy snap, like something striking the line, just before the train reached this station. But it was so foggy, he said he was blessed if he could see what it was.
What's the matter? What are you staring at?
The curve, Watson. The rails.
What do you mean?
I suppose there aren't many curves as abrupt as this. No, sir, I can't say as there is.
What have curves got to do with it?
With indication, Watson, merely an indication. Unique. Perfectly unique. And yet, why not? I don't see any indications of bleeding on the line. No, sir, there wasn't any to speak of. But I understand there was a considerable wound. The bone was crashed right enough.
Holmes,
it's coming this way. Run, sir. Run for your life. Yes, yes, where? Up there. There's a place where the train switches on. Watson, run. It's just around the curve. We'll never make it. Yes, we will. Faster, faster. There's the switch up there. Come on. Here comes the train now. We'll make it. We'll make it. Just in once. For the love of heaven. You're on the wrong track.
well, that was a narrow escape, Holmes. I must say my knees are still shaking. Look at the shoulder of my coat where you pulled it there.
Lucky thing for you that I did.
Where are we off to now? And in this fog?
Yes, it's a nice afternoon. Suppose we pay a few calls. I think Sir James Walter claims our first attention. After that, we might drop in on Miss Westbury.
Miss Westbury? Who's she?
She is Cadogan West's fiancée and the last person to see him alive.
Holmes, we seem to be going around in circles. We've accomplished absolutely nothing so far except to get ourselves nearly annihilated in the underground. After all, it's perfectly obvious the young man had a quarrel with someone. In all probability, the agent. It will be sold the papers. He got himself thrown out of the railway carriage for his pay.
I disagree with you, my dear Watson. His body fell from the roof of the carriage where it had been placed. Cadogan West met his elsewhere.
The roof of the train?
Consider the facts, Watson. A. The curve in the tracks. The body is found at the spot where the train pitches and sways as it comes around the points. B. There's no ticket. C. There were no signs of bleeding on the line because the body had bled elsewhere.
Of course. Everything fits together, but where was the body placed on the train?
I think I can make a fair guess of that, my dear Watson. Here we are. This is the famous official villa of Sir James Walter. And that, if I'm not mistaken, is his brother, Colonel Valentine, just coming out of the house.
What's the matter with the man? He looks positively haunted.
Oh, pardon me, Colonel Valentine, but can you tell me if Sir James is at home?
Sir James? Sir James is dead. Good heavens, dead? He died this morning. It's terrible. Terrible.
How did he die?
Oh, it's this horrible scandal. My brother, sir, was very sensitive of his honor. He couldn't survive the disgrace to his department. It broke his heart. Pardon me, gentlemen, I must go. It broke his heart. Most appalling development. Eh, Holmes?
I wonder if his death was natural, or if the poor fellow killed himself.
Yes.
Will you tell Miss Westbury that Mr. Sherlock Holmes would like to see her?
I'm Violet Westbury, Mr. Holmes. You ever since I heard you had taken the case. Please be seated.
Well, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, we must save his good name. He couldn't have done it. Cadogan was the most chivalrous, patriotic gentleman on earth. He couldn't have done it. He would have cut his right hand off rather than sell a state secret.
But the facts, my dear Miss Westbury.
I admit I can't explain.
Was he in need of money?
No, Mr. Holmes. His need was simple.
Had you noticed any signs of mental excitement?
Well, that is...
Come, Miss Westbury, be frank with us.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. That night, I had a feeling that there was something on his mind.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about it, will you?
We were on the way to the theater. It was a foggy night, you remember? We were walking slowly. Our way took us close to his office. Cadogan seemed thoughtful and worried.
Great name.
Darling, what's the matter? You haven't said a word for the last 5 minutes. Have I said or done something?
Of course not, silly. It's just that I've got something on my mind.
Oh, why not tell me about it? Perhaps I can help.
Sounds like a Cadogan.
It's too serious for me to talk about, even to you.
You know, sometimes, Caddy, I feel just the least little bit jealous of that old job of yours. When you're cooped up in that building all day.
Oh, no, you're not going to be jealous of a building.
Well, not really. Funny to think of a husband having secrets he can't tell his wife.
Mighty important secrets, I can promise you. There's one in particular that any foreign spy would pay good money to get hold of.
How thrilling.
And I don't know. They're awfully slack about some things over there in that building, Violet. Much too slack. And found it easy for a traitor to get his hands on those plans.
What plans?
Never mind, darling.
Never mind,
I'm
darling.
a bit melodramatic. There's something been worrying me. Hello, what's that?
What's what?
Over there, that shadow moving along the side of the building. It's a man. So that's it. I always suspected.
Oh, what's the matter? You're so excited.
Stay here, Violet. There's something I have to find out. Stay here.
I waited, but he never returned. Oh, Mr. Holmes, if you could only save his honor, it meant so much.
Miss Westbury, this shadow, this man moving along the building. Did you see it too?
I think I did, Mr. Holmes. But the night was so foggy, I can't be sure. But there must have been a man. Another man. It couldn't have been Cadogan. Sure, a character goes for something.
Let us hope so.
Oh,
Come on,
Cadogan.
Watson, we must return home. I'm expecting an answer to some telegrams I sent Mycroft earlier this afternoon. We've done enough for one day.
morning before I was up. Now you've come home with your towel awry, your suit torn, and as ravenous as a wolf.
Yes, I've had a bit of exercise, my dear Watson. Pass me the tongue, will you? It would have done you good to go along.
Yes, what were you doing?
Investigating the premises inhabited by foreign spies known to have been in London on last Monday. Mycroft sent me a list of them. Took a bit of doing, too. Climbing walls, breaking into cellars, prowling around rooftops.
Well?
I discovered there was only one residence which had the proper facilities for disposing of West's body after the murder.
Whose residence was that?
It belongs to a Hugo Oberstein. The address is 13 Court Gardens, Kensington. The gentleman himself has departed for Europe.
Gone, has he? He took the plans with him. It's too late.
Not necessarily, Watson.
What can we do now?
We're going to keep a rendezvous with the gentleman who stole and sold those plans. The assignation will take place at Mr. Oberstein's house this evening at 9.
Do you see what you're talking about?
These newspaper clippings, I found them in the drawer of Hugo Oberstein's desk. Read them.
The Daily Telegraph agony column. The first one says, too complex for description, must have full report, terms agreed, too payable when goods delivered. Signed, Piero. Piero, indeed. Sounds like a Mardi Gras.
Read on, Watson, read on.
Second goes, matter presses must withdraw offer unless contract completed. Piero again.
And the last, dated Monday, the day the crime was committed.
Monday night after 9, 2 taps, payment in hard cash. I say, do you think it was submarine that the plans that he was buying?
I'm almost positive. And Piero was Oberstein himself. You'll find out for certain this evening. I've invited the gentleman who sold the papers to meet us.
How? I don't understand.
Instead of this advertisement in today's Daily Telegraph. Tonight, same hour, same place, 2 taps, vitally important. Your own safety at stake. Signed, Piero, as usual.
By George, if he answers that, we've got him.
Unless we're too late. Come on, Watson. There's no time to lose. You can take this package for a change. I've been carrying it around all day.
What's in it?
Oh, just a jemmy, a dark lantern, a chisel, and a revolver.
Nice equipment for a respectable citizen to be carrying about the streets of London, I must say.
You know, Watson, there are times when I suspect we aren't quite respectable. Here we are. This is Caulfield Gardens.
It's so foggy. I shouldn't like to be caught by active housebreaking.
Yeah. Over this wall, Watson. There's a window we can easily pry open in the back.
Scale that wall?
Come on, hurry up. There's no time to lose. Here. I'll give you a boost. Come on, up you. Good. That's it. Look out, here I come.
I must say, Holmes, you're as agile as a cat. Some cat.
This is the window. Light the lantern and give me the jemmy. 1, 2.
Runs right past here, almost on the level of these windows. I can reach out and touch it.
Yeah, it's quite convenient, wasn't it? It was here the body was placed on the roof of the train. Now look on this windowsill. You can see the soot is blurred with the rest of the body. And here, look. This brown stain is blood.
Nasty, Holmes. Let's get out of the house.
Very well, then. Come along. The window's open. Easy, don't break the glass.
Supposing Oberstein should happen to return home.
We must take our chances in this business. Come along, Watson, come along. I visited let in by the front door.
I wish these stairs didn't squeak so.
9 o'clock. We can expect him at any moment now. You take your position on one side of the door. I'll be on the other. So we can pounce on him when he enters. I'll throw my greatcoat over his head.
I wish he'd hurry.
Shh, Watson.
What if he doesn't come?
There he is. Ready now. I'll open the door. You wanted me?
No, you don't. Take that.
What the Easy, Watson, easy.
All right, Holmes, I've got him.
Well, let's take a look at that catch. Take the overcoat away, Watson.
Right. Hi. Colonel Valentine Walter. Sir James's brother.
Why? Well, sir, what have you to say for yourself? Why did you steal the Bruce Partington plans?
What do you know about this?
I am Sherlock Holmes, and I know everything.
Oh, this is terrible. I'm lost. I didn't realize their importance until my brother killed himself. But I needed the money. I had to have it. Oberstein offered to give it to me if I let him see the plans.
So you took an impression of your brother's key, opened the safe, and procured the papers. Cadogan West saw you leaving the building, followed you here, and you killed him.
No, I didn't do that. I swear I didn't do it.
No? Then perhaps you better tell us who did murder Cadogan West and placed him on the roof of the railway carriage.
I'll tell you. I promise you I will. I did the rest. I confess it, but not that.
Very well, then. How did it happen?
I got the papers, as you've discovered. Made my way through the fog until I reached the door. Once or twice, I fancied I was being followed. I could hear footsteps on the pavement behind me. Yes, let me in, quick. I think someone's been following me. Yes, it's me. You can't do this, Valentine. It's treason. All right, do you hear? No, you can't sell the papers.
Papa Oberstein, he knows how to use a blackjack, eh?
You killed him.
So?
It's murder. I'm going to answer this.
No. I think different. You will come in here if you do not wish to taste the blackjack too.
But I...
That is better.
Oh, what can we do? They'll find the body.
I have an idea. First, I look at those papers. I take the ones I want, and the rest you put in the pocket of this foolish young man. And then we give him a nice ride on top of the underground train, no? He will be the guilty one. Who will ever know?
Who'll ever know? Oh, Sherlock Holmes will know.
What a thoroughly unpleasant gentleman. Dr. Watson. Oh, but he didn't. Oberstein had left a Paris forwarding address with Colonel Walters. That gentleman sent him a letter dictated by Holmes, saying that he had discovered that one essential detail in the plans was missing, and that he had procured a tracing which would make it complete for a price. And did Oberstein swallow the bait? Did he swallow it? He was arrested as he got off the boat at Folkestone. Some weeks later, I learned incidentally that Holmes had spent a day at Windsor Castle and returned with a remarkably fine emerald tie-pin. When I asked him where he got it, he answered it was just a small present from a certain gracious little old lady for whom he'd been able to do a small favor. Yes, and I think I can guess the lady's august name. Elementary, my dear Mr. Manning, elementary. I see. Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, Dr. Watson will be back to tell us about next week's story. Now, Dr. Watson, next week? Next week, I think I'll tell you the story of the lion's mane. The lion's mane? What was that, Dr. Watson? The answer to that question, Mr. Manning, almost himself. Suffice it to say that they were the last words gasped out by a dying man as he lay writhing in agony on the sands of the Sussex coast.
The sands of the Sussex coast.
You have been listening to a Sherlock Holmes adventure, adapted from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Bruce Partington Plans, with Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. The dramatization was by Edith Miser. This program is presented from Hollywood every week at this same time by the makers of Grove's bromoquinine tablets. Quick relief for colds. Knox Manning speaking. This is the National Broadcasting Company. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce. The makers of bromoquinine cold tablets bring you another adventure of Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes, Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. And now, as we make our way through the night to Dr. Watson's hospitable door, we notice a feeling of spring in the air. The buds are swollen on the trees, still black and dripping from the rain. There's the smell of warm, damp earth. Delicious. Hey, Mr. Manning? Well, hello, Dr. Watson. I didn't see you in the dark. Yes, I've been out checking up to see if my magnolias survived the winter. Any casualties? Oh, they all seem to be fairly bursting with buds. There's nothing as delicious as that first faint whiff of spring. All treacherous. Come along to the house before we both catch our death of cold. After you, sir. Not a proper boy. None of that age before beauty nonsense. I'm not as decrepit as all that. Oh, what's this? Front hall littered with trunks, a suitcase? Oh, yes. I'm afraid my annual wanderlust has broken out rather early this spring. I'm off on a little jaunt first thing tomorrow morning, but come along into the study. Does that mean that this is the last of our storytelling evening? For this winter, yes, I'm afraid it does. Well, I forward if I hope to be invited back again in the fall. Oh, of course not. You know we'll be return. Oh, thanks very much. It's very decent of you. Put up for the hand rings of an old fellow like yourself. I appreciate it, you know. But sit down, Mr. Manning, down there, over there, in the usual chair. Let's get on with us before I get all glittery and sentimental.
You're going to tell us about Professor Moriarty tonight, aren't you?
Well, I had intended to, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to tell you the retired colorman instead.
Retired colorman? Isn't that a military term?
No, it isn't. Mr. Josiah P. Amberley has been the junior member of Brickfall and Amberley, manufacturers of artistic paint boxes. He's quite a tiny little retired from business at the age of 61, bought a house at Lewisham and then settled down. The next year, 1897, I think it was, they were full married.
Married?
Yes, married. The woman 30 years his junior.
That's always a bit risky.
Risky. Within 2 years, he was as miserable a creature as crawls beneath the sun. But look here, I'm jumping ahead of the story again. As I was saying, it was the 23rd of April, 1899, and a rainy and disagreeable April it had been. Holmes was in a melancholy and philosophic mood that morning as he stood by the window, watching the raindrops chasing one another down the page. Rain had always depressed him when he was not working on a case. When he was working on a case, I don't believe he realized that there was such a thing as weather.
Look at that beastly rain. Hasn't stopped for 3 days. Might as well be another flood. Well, heaven only knows what transgressions could have brought it on. There's been a really first-class crime for months.
Oh, cheer up, Holmes, cheer up. It's probably good for the crops or something.
Shortage in crime?
No, the rain, of course. Probably makes the little buds sprout and the little shoots shoot.
Oh, don't be so blasted optimistic. More likely rotting all the seeds that's already been planted. Rain, where the deuce does it all come from? This confounded climate? Why any man with half a brain stays on this rain-soaked, mist-bound island is beyond me.
I don't think the men have anything to do with it. The ladies, God bless them. This climate gives them perfect complexions. And there's so many lovely creatures about, what Englishman would think of quitting the country? So much beauty to take screen.
Oh, rubbish, Watson, rubbish. Spring has given you a temporary softening of the brain. I regret to say it seems to have that effect on most impressionable males.
Impossible nonsense. When a woman's concerned in many cases, you never even notice whether she's 16 or 60, and then you don't care whether she's got a well-turned ankle or whether she's flat-footed.
Oh, why should I?
Holmes, there are times when I think you're cold-blooded fish.
Possibly, Watson, possibly. Why do you suppose the fool doesn't show up?
What fool?
Josiah P. Amberley.
Oh, is he one of your clients?
Oh, I suppose I may call him so. He's been sent to me by Scotland Yard.
Oh, by Scotland Yard.
Right, by Lestrade, to be exact. You must consider the case fairly hopeless if Lestrade hands the matter over to me of his own accord.
Look, Holmes, there's a cab drawing up in front of our front door. He must be your client, Mr. Amberley.
Yeah. Strange-looking individual, eh, Watson?
He's quite an old fellow. Looks literally bowed down with care.
Ah, but no weakling. Look at those shoulders and that chest. The framework of a giant. He's arguing with the cab driver about the fare. Huh. Watches the pennies,
I
eh?
must say, I don't like his face. So fierce and eager, and the way those snaky locks of grizzled hair stick out from under his hat.
Wonder what he's worrying. What's worrying, Mr. Amberley? Willing to bet it has nothing to do with money. I imagine nothing else could upset him to any great extent.
Nonsense, Holmes. You always look on the base side of human nature.
Here he is now. Come in, come in.
Which of you is Sherlock Holmes?
I am. This is my friend, Dr. Watson.
Who are you? I'm a broken man. He's robbed me, the swine. Taken everything I had in the world. I thought he was my friend, and he took everything. Right from under my nose, in my own house. Robbed me, he did.
Yes, I felt sure it was a question of money.
Money? Who said money? He stole my wife, the light of my life, the apple of my eye. It's true she was very expensive, but after all, she was my wife, and he stole her.
Now, Mr. Amberley,
My beautiful blonde wife, hair like gold, and my securities. The money I saved up through years of hard work. Gone, all gone.
Yes, thank you. First, tell us about your wife. How long have you been married?
2 years. 2 years, and she's tired of me already. 2 little years.
Easy, my good man, easy. More facts and fewer recriminations if we're to get to the bottom of this case.
Well, 3 years ago, I retired. Bought a house. Big house at Lewisham. Cost me plenty of money, that house did. Well, sir, I've never lived alone in a big house before. Got sort of lonely. House began to need looking after, so I thought I'd start looking around for a wife. A nice, healthy young wife to look after me. And then I met Ella. Handsome girl she was, too. A good cook. Hair like gold. Could bake a beef and kidney pie that would melt in your mouth. So I thought I might as well get married.
Very practical, I'm sure.
Yes, that's what I figured at the time. But Lord, Mr. Holmes, The money a woman runs into. They made my heart bleed the way the money went.
I should have thought you'd have been glad when the other fellow took it off your hands. But who was this,
This wife in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
His name was Dr. Ray Ernest, a young fellow. He used to come over nights and play chess with me.
I see. He stole your wife.
Yes, and my securities.
Yes, but surely the securities are registered. You can hardly hope to convert them.
Maybe not, but I must have them back. And you've got to find those securities for me, Mr. Holmes. You've got to find them.
And your wife, of course?
Of course, wherever she is, they are.
Ah, quite. On the other hand, Mr. Amberley, I confess I don't see that I can be of much service. It's a routine matter, and I'm sure that Scotland Yard would be only too glad.
I haven't found not a single security.
Very well. And we'll do our best. Dr. Watson will take a run down to your house at Lewisham to look over the ground.
Oh, really? Yes. I hardly expected you to come yourself. After my heavy financial loss, nobody cares if an old man's heart is broken.
Stop that. I'm not coming myself because I'm preoccupied with the case of the two Coptic patriarchs. This particular case doesn't seem to be very complicated. I'm sure, Mr. Amberley, that Dr. Watson can handle it as well as I could myself.
Well, that's the best that you can offer. I suppose I must be satisfied. That's what she was. And that young man, that dirty pickpocket, I treated him like my own son. He let them out of the house. And now look how they treated me. Me, you never harmed me.
Quite. And now, good day, Mr. Amberley.
Yes. Well, good day, Mr. Holmes. And I shall expect Dr. Watson this afternoon. You have my address, I believe. Oh, the impressive romantic. I must say, Holmes, I like the way you shoved all this off onto my shoulders. Coptic patriarchs, indeed. You just don't want to go.
Right, Watson, right the very first time. You've been begging for a case all to yourself for months. Well, here it is.
Yes, and a nice case you've given me, I must say. That almost killed me.
Oh, my daughter, oh, my ducats, eh? With the emphasis on the ducats, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, confound that passage. There. Ah, that's better. That's dash good. Hello. Just on the stairs. Watson, if I'm not mistaken, and in a triumphant mood.
Hello, Holmes. Well, I'm back.
Hail the comforting hero. This afternoon, I take it, with a light of victory in your eye.
Well, I did manage to dig up a cure.
Good. How about Mr. Amberley's place of residence? What's it like?
Well, you called it the Hague.
Oh, charming.
Yes, isn't it? I think the place would interest you, Holmes. You know that particular quarter, the monotonous brick streets, the weary suburban highways. Well, right in the middle of them lies this beautiful old home, surrounded by a high sun-baked wall, mottled with lichens and topped with moss. The sort of wall...
You may omit the Dr. Watson. I noticed that it was a high brick wall.
I should have guessed it was the Haven, even if I hadn't bust the lounger, smoking outside in the street.
A lounger?
There's a tall, dark, little moustached man with a curious look in his eye.
With great tinted glasses and a sonic typing?
How'd you know?
Oh, the fool. A child of 10 could have seen through that.
Mr. Holmes, I don't see.
Never mind. Continue with your story, Watson.
Well, I'd hardly entered the gateway before I saw Mr. Amberley coming down the drive to meet me. He began at once, pouring out his grievances. We walked back to the house together.
And,
Well, once inside the wall, I must say that I've never seen a place worse kept. Garden with weeds and in a dreadful neglect. The house neglected to the last degree. It just goes to show what happens to a place. And there's no woman in a hand about to keep it in order.
yes, but, Mrs. Amberley's only been missing a few days. Hardly time for so much disintegration to take place. Set in before she left.
Oh, possibly. At any rate, Mr. Amberley seemed to be ashamed of it. He's doing his best to remedy it, though I must admit that his efforts looked a trifle ineffectual. What's to become of me? What's to become of me? My wife's gone, most of my fortune stolen. Oh, come in, Dr. Watson, come in. Here you see what remains of what used to be called my home. An Englishman's home is castle, so they say. But home is where the heart is. My heart. And look out, Dr. Watson, without that would break this thing. Oh, look at that. My best pair of trousers took dead. Careful, you almost get in that kind of thing. Yes, it all This is the limit. But I left that kind of thing to get in the passage, I suppose. And when one's alone in the house, one forgets. Alone? You've been doing this painting yourself. And that's like this strange occupation under the circumstances. One must do something to ease an aching heart. And step in here, Dr. Watson. This is my study, my sanctum sanctorum. I see you just finished painting woodwork in this room, too. It smells paint. It's not dry yet. That's why I have a fire in here. Now, let me see. Where did you keep your cigarette? The safe is that wall. This room is really a strong room, like a bank, with an iron shutter on the window and an iron door. Burglar-proof. Ah, that's the irony of it. No thief without could have taken my money, but my wife, my own wife. There's a picture, Dr. Watson, on the mantel, taken in a wedding dress. Nice looking girl, Emily. Doesn't look the sort. Not quite as in great. I had a very nice, that very night. I bought 2 upper circle seats at the Haymarket Theatre. What did they give her a treat? I did. Did she go? No. Last moment that she fell sick. That she had a headache, she did. I believed her, went alone. When I thought that she was gone, the safe was where... What night was that, Mr. Hamlet? Last Thursday. Look, yes, unused. Money wasted. It was always wasted. May I have that ticket, Mr. Hamlet? Hold on. You've got it in the car. Oh, why? I... Get rid of everything that reminds me of her. Yeah, give me that picture.
Sorry, my radio, AM radio is not getting good radio signal right now.
They are so burning, dormant, their pictures burning now.
Hello, Watson. The case begins to look more somber than I suspected. You only have brought me that ticket, Watson.
Oh, I did my best, Holmes. I may not have the ticket itself, but I did notice the number of the seat.
Oh, bravo, Watson. How do you happen to remember it?
Well, as a matter of fact, it was my place in form at school, 31. See from the bottom. And so it stuck in my head.
Splendid, old fellow. Then Amberley's seat must have been 30 or 32. Dear me now, who can that be?
Well, it is the Ashley patient.
Yes. Here he comes up the stairs, fairly running. Come in. Well, bless my soul if it isn't our old friend, our good friend, Mr. Amberley. What's up?
I tell you, Mr. Holmes, I can't make anything of it. Here, see for yourself.
Come at once without fail.
Yes.
And give you information as to your recent lost find element. Dispatched at 210 from Little Purlington. Little Purlington in Essex, I believe, not far from Clinton. You will start at once, of course. Watson, look up the train.
It's probably a hoax. What could anyone in Little Purlington
But it's from a very responsible person. Where's my Crockford? Yes, here it is. We'll look up this minister of the gospel. Elman, here it is. J. M.A. living of Mosswalk, Little Purlington.
Yes, but I still don't...
Surely, Mr. Amberley, you won't find your wife in your house security.
It was, of course, but get a waste of time and money. Here we are. Here's the train from Liverpool Street. 5:20.
Yes, just have time. Mr. Amberley, you go downstairs and get a cab. I'll help Dr. Watson throw a few things in the bag.
You think I need Dr. Watson? But I better go alone. Oh, no.
It may be a trap draw, we know.
Don't think I'll go.
Mr. Amberley, it would make the worst possible impression on both police and on myself if you refused to pop up so obvious a clue. We should feel that you are not in earnest about this investigation.
Very well, I'll go. Perhaps you'd better go with him.
What? Take your case, Watson. After the brilliant way in which you handled it? No. Go on, Mr.
Very well, but the expensive.
Here, Watson. Here's your bag.
It's packed.
Yes, you never know when you may be called off in a case like this. I packed it for you.
Well, I do think...
Quite. Now, whatever you do, see that he really does go to Little Purlington.
I don't think that he's...
Again, quite. Should he break away and try to return to the telegraph station and send me the single word noted? I'll arrange to have it reach me wherever I am.
What? You have something to look into at this end, then?
I have, Watson. This case is beginning to take on a rather curious, sinister aspect. Above all, old man, take good care of yourself. And Mr. Amberley.
Before we find the outcome of Watson's curious mission, ladies and gentlemen, I have a few words to say. Here's what you want to do when you feel a cold coming on. Here's what you want to do at the very first sign of a cold. Take famous bromoquinine copal tablets. Bromoquinine tablets don't fool. No, sir, they get right after a cold symptom. They get right after a cold misery. They relieve the headache and other pains that go with a cold. They relieve that stuffiness, feeling of depression that accompanies a cold. They help reduce the fever that goes with a cold. Bromoquinine tablets are fast and decisive in their action. First, because they're made especially for the relief of the common cold. Secondly, because they act internal. You can take lots of things for the relief of a cold, but nothing more reputable and reliable than famous bromoquinine tablets. Them at any drugstore at the first symptom of a cold. Ask for Bromo, B-R-O-M-O, quinine, bromoquinine cold tablet.
Ah, confound this rain. Everything's as dark as a black hole of Calcutta. The haven. Chilly little. I can find a window on that. Not much chance on the third floor. The old boy's too cold. Ooh. Second-story window, perhaps. Now, if I can manage to scale this porch pillar. Ah, this confounded rain. As slippery as a greased pole. Come on. Hey, there we are. Yeah? There's the window that's unlatched. Easy. And now. 1 foot over the sill.
Up with your hands. Up with them, I tell you. Thought I wouldn't see you prowling around down below, eh? When I've caught you red-handed.
Nice wild goose chase that turned out to be. That friend of Sherlock Holmes is a fool. I'm sure, Mr. Straight nothing. That figure has never seen that telegram before. The way he treated us. You might have thought we were suspicious characters. And missing the last train and having to sit up all night at the confounded station with the rain dripping through the roof.
Well, we could have gone to an hotel.
Gone to an hotel that costs money. Gone to an hotel indeed.
Here's your house, Mr. Ambler. I think I'll go along home now and get some breakfast.
You will not. You're to come into the house and see if everything's on. I look up there. The window over the porch. It's open.
Perhaps you left it like that yourself.
Rubbish. I tell you, I don't like the looks of this. Where's my key? Here it is. We'll soon find out. Look. Someone's been here right enough. Footprints on the first page. I'll find them if I have to tear the place apart.
We're here waiting for you in the study.
Holmes! Good heavens, what a start you get.
How did you get in here?
Went into an upstairs window.
That's burglary, young man.
Yes. Burglary has always been an alternate profession, and I cared to adopt it. I'll admit I was glad I hadn't when I walked into Inspector Lestrade's gun last night. He thought I was a burglar, too. But come, we're keeping him waiting. He's in the library. Here they are, Lestrade. I told you we could expect them back before 10.
No, but look here, that's not Lestrade. That's the man I saw loitering in front of the gate yesterday afternoon. Fellow with the black moustache with glasses.
That's right, of course. Lestrade fondly imagines that's the disguise.
Oh, now look here, no.
It's obvious to anyone who takes
Now, look here, I've had enough of this. I won't have two busybodies prowling around my house in the middle of the night. And what's more, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I suspect you sent that telegram yourself.
Very clever of you, Mr. Amberley, very clever. You look a trifle pale. I thought a night in the country might
I know enough of that. What kind of a fool do you take me for? I have you put behind the bumpers, all of you.
Surely not Inspector. He's from Scotland Yard.
I don't care if it's from the House of Lords.
Yeah, no.
All disgrace, publicly disgrace. Breaking into my house in the middle of the night. Oh, I'll get you for that. What were you doing in here last night? Answer me that.
Looking for the bodies. What? Looking for the bodies. The bodies of your wife and Dr. Ernest. What have you done with them?
How dare
You
you?
murdered them in this room. We have ample proof.
Why, you...
Stop him, Watson. Stop him. He's got a capsule in his hand. It's poison. He's going to swallow it.
No.
Come on,
Spit it out.
Spit it out. All right. No shot.
And now spit it out.
Everything decently in its proper place. Take him away, Lestrade.
Right, come along now. No more monkey business. I won't put up with that. All right, come. Phew. What? That old brute Amble is a murderer, eh? How did you find it out?
Well, the first clue was the theater ticket, which he didn't use. We found that out.
Oh, that destroyed his alibi.
Yes, the theater people assured us that there had been 2 empty seats, not just one. The second clue was the smell of fresh paint. What was he trying to hide by that?
What?
Gas. He asphyxiated his wife and Dr. Ernst in this room.
Good heavens.
His strong room, which was as near airtight as anything could humanly possibly
Yes,
be.
but how?
Well, that's what I wanted to find out. That's what I was looking for when I broke into the house last night.
What did you find?
Look at that. Is the gas pipe along the skirting here. It rises in the wall, in the angle there, and ends in that plaster rose in the center of the ceiling, where it's concealed by that ornamentation. Ends wide open.
How horrible.
Yes, and look here. Look, near the floor.
make out? 2 words written on the wall. And a little scroll. What does that mean?
The poor devil was trying to write, "We were murdered." I can see the whole ghastly scene. It was last Thursday night. Amberley had lured his wife and Dr. Ernest.
Oh, listen to that wind. I wish it would stop.
Not so bad in this room. Have a little dame in here, eh, Dr. Ernest? Just you sit here. The doctor while I go look for the chessmen. Is it Dr. Ernest? Certainly. If you don't mind, I'll close the door. That's a draft. It's much cozier in here with the door closed. Much cozier.
If that wind only wouldn't hold. I feel so depressed. Is there something terrible we're going to happen?
Oh, nonsense, my dear Mrs. Amberley. This house is getting on your nerves. Is there any wonder?
It gets worse and worse. Oh, Dr. Ernest, I'm so frightened.
I've had your husband under observation for some time. I'm afraid it isn't safe for you to stay here any longer.
But, Doctor, don't you understand? I can't leave my husband. Heaven knows what would happen if I left him alone.
We could get a nurse to take care of him. You can't stay here with him. What was that?
Just there, he heard us. He was outside the door listening. Oh, Dr. Ernest, this is terrible. What can we do?
Listen. You hear that?
It's the gas. Someone's turned on the gas. I can smell it.
Hurry, we've got to get out of here. What? Oh, the door's locked. He's locked the door. Emily! Emily, open the door!
No, that's locked too. The arm shutters.
Emily! Emily, let us out!
You realize what this means? He must have gone mad, I'm afraid.
Yes, what I was afraid of. He's a maniac. Almost like a maniac. Oh, this is horrible. We're trapped. What a fool I was.
What can we do? I feel so faint. I can hardly breathe.
Here. Lie down on the floor. Yes, better down here.
It's no use. I can't stay awake. I don't mind anymore. I'm quite all right.
Red. Mrs. Amberley. Mrs. Amberley. Don't give up. I feel things too. I must warn people. It's dangerous. I can't think. God, I can't breathe. I can't think.
What a tragic story, Dr. Watson. Was Mr. Amberley insane?
They decided he was. He ended his days in an asylum.
They ever find the body?
Yes, at the bottom of an old well. Now I'm afraid it's to say goodbye.
Well, not goodbye, Dr. Watson. Au revoir.
Just as you say, Mr. Manning. Anyway, in conclusion, I want to thank you and our radio as a sentimental old fellow. I want to wish you all, old and young, an extremely happy summer.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, Basil Rathbone would like to say a few words. But first, may I give you a word of advice? Remember the danger of the so-called common cold. Remember the sickness it can cause and the bills it can cost. Act promptly, decisively, at the first sign of a cold. Take famous bromoquinine tablets. Bromoquinine tablets have a reputation. Their fame extends to all quarters of the globe. Their merit is an assured fact. Reliability is the one thing you want in any medicine, especially medicine for the relief of cold. Don't wait when you feel a cold coming on. Go right to your druggist.
Don't
Get a
wait.
box of
Estimate when you feel a
The
cold
small
coming
cost
on.
may save you a lot in grief and expense. Out clearly for bromoquinine cold tablets. And now, here's Basil Rathbone.
Ladies and gentlemen, to me, Sherlock Holmes has always been one of the greatest characters ever created. Tonight, as our series ends, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the makers of bromoquinine, for giving me the opportunity of playing Holmes on the air, especially with such an inspired Dr. Watson as Bruce.
Oh, that's very,
Please. Speaking of myself and Mr. Bruce, may I express our gratitude to our radio audience for the many letters of interest and encouragement we received. And finally, a word of appreciation to all the performers and others concerned with this program who have helped so immeasurably in making the Baker Street days live again. Now, until fall, it's time for me to say au revoir and good luck.
You have been listening to a Sherlock Holmes adventure. Miser from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Retired Colorman. Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. The Sherlock Holmes series was produced by Tom McKnight. This program was presented from Hollywood by the makers of bromoquinine cold tablets. Quick relief for cold. This is not Manning speaking. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Good evening, Doctor. You look a bit irritated, if you will pardon my saying. Good evening, Mr. Manning. Good evening. Yes, I am a bit annoyed. Good evening. I don't know if I've told you, but Holmes has been listening in to these reminiscences. Well, here's a letter I received from him after last week's story. Read it.
All right. My dear Watson, I noticed that in your last broadcast, you gave way to your regrettable habit of emotionalizing your story. Detection, my dear fellow, is or ought to be exact science. To tinge it with romanticism is like introducing a love story into the fifth proposition of Euclid. As ever, Sherlock Holmes.
Well, what did you do that?
But the emotion was there. You couldn't tamper with the truth.
Holmes has always maintained that the truth is not in what you say, but in the impression you create in the other person's mind. Well, Holmes always complained that I overstressed the human element in recording his cases. How well I remember the attitude with which he received the publishing of my first book about his adventures. It was a cold morning in early spring. We were sitting on either side of the cheery fire in our rooms in Baker Street. Gun-colored houses. Our gas was lit. It shone on the white sauce and glimmered on the coffee cups and on the silver. The breakfast table was not yet being cleared away. Holmes had been silent all the morning, smoking his long cherrywood pipe, which usually disgraced his favorite tray, and he was in a disputatious mood. Altogether, he was not in the best of tempers.
Matthews. Where are the Matthews? Out of that confounded fog. What happens to all the matches in this house, I'd like to know.
My dear Holmes, why not use the tongs and a live coal if you want to relight your pipe?
Huh? Oh! I hurt myself. Ah!
For heaven's sake, Holmes, stop shouting. Something's annoying you. Why not get it off your chest?
It's that confounded is on the crime. Crime is common, logic is rare. You should stress the logic. You have degraded what should have been a course of lectures into a series of tales.
Now, really, Holmes, that's not logical. You're always complaining that crime is falling off. You said, first-class criminals left.
Quite. And therefore, if you depend on the crime to hold your readers, you will soon be a back number. Criminals. Ah! Have lost all their enterprise and originality. My practice seems to be degenerating into an agency for recovering lost pencils and giving good advice to young ladies from 40.
Advice to the love law, eh?
Well, look at this. This note is sent by the boss this morning's post. Here. A rough score, that's what it is. Read it.
Let's have a look. Dear Mr. Holmes, I'm very anxious to consult you as to whether I should or I should not accept the situation which has been offered me as a governess. I shall call at 10:30 tomorrow if I do not inconvenience you. Yours faithfully, Violet Hunter. Where is she? Call at 11 now.
Exactly, she's late. Just like a woman.
I say, Holmes, just to see your young lady now walking briskly up the street.
I see. First, perfectly manner. Nice, striking courtesy.
Yes, it is. She's stopping at our door.
Maybe something in the street after all, my dear Watson. is not the hysterical sort that takes a fuss over nothing. There she is. Come in. How do you do?
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Right. And this is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Oh, I trust you'll excuse my troubling you, Mr. Holmes, but I've had a very strange experience. And as I had no relations with any sort to advise me, I thought I'd just come to you.
I shall be very happy to do anything that I can.
Well, I've been a governess for 5 years in the family of Colonel Kent Monroe. She's been transferred to Nova Scotia, so that for the last few months I've been without a situation. Well, I advertised and answered advertisements, but without success. You see, the money I had saved began to run out, and I because I returned.
Go on.
Well, yesterday I called in at a well-known employment agency run by a Miss Shapr. When I arrived, the outer office was filled with young ladies looking for situations. I decided to wait. I did. After about half an hour, my name was called out. Well, the door to Miss Shap's private office was ajar. She could discover that a considerably stout man with a round, smiling face and a terrible chin. His eyes were like fully clipped. So I advanced to the door, my knees trembling. Oh, Mr. Holmes, you know how I needed that. Come in, my dear. Come in. This is Castle. This is Miss what is your name, my dear? Miss Hunter. Violet Hunter. Oh, yes, Miss Hunter.
Capital. I couldn't ask for anything better. I'm sure you'll do, Miss Hunter.
I hope so, Mr. Ruth.
You're looking for a situation, Mr. Governor.
Yes,
And what's the salary you are?
well, I have £4 a month in my last week.
£4. President. How anyone could have the audacity to offer that to a lady with such accomplishment. A lady fitted to the rearing of a child who may someday play a considerable part in the history of this country. Your salary with me, madam, would commence at £100 a year.
100? Oh, Mr. Ruth,
And furthermore, it is my custom to advance my young lady half their salary beforehand.
May I ask where you live, Mr. Ruth?
Answer, the charming rural spot. The couple of beaches is the name of the place 5 miles north of Winchester, or the dear old house.
And what would be my duty?
One child, a dear little romper, sick. Oh, you could see him killing cockroaches with a slipper. He's on before he was awake.
My sole duty then is to take care of this child.
Well, I'm sure your good sense would suggest that you obey any little commands which my wife might give, provided, of course, that they were such as a lady might obey with propriety. You see how this is.
Oh, I should be happy to make myself useful.
Oh, by the way, in dress, for example, we're savvy people. That is a kind-hearted man. Now, if you would ask to wear a particular dress that we might give you, you would respect our little whim.
No.
Oh, sit here or there, that wouldn't be offensive to you.
Why, no.
Or to touch your hair short before you come to it.
My hair?
Oh, yes, it is quite essential. It's a little fancy of my wife, you see. And lady fancies my dear, and we can't have much to keep out of it.
But my hair? Oh, no, I couldn't.
No, what a pity. Well, in that case, Mr. I bet you take a few more of the young ladies.
Today, then, Miss Hunter, I'm afraid you must consider yourself struck from our list. Oh, but you can hardly expect us to exert ourselves to find another such opening for you. But Miss Shapr, good day, Miss Hunter.
Oh, just a minute, Miss Shapr. Let's not be too hard on the young lady. After all, my request was a little sudden. Perhaps, Miss Hunter, you have 24 hours in which to consider the matter. And in view of the fact that you have particularly beautiful hair, I might be willing to raise the salary to £120 a year. You represent you for our Unusual, most unusual, my dear Miss Hunter. What do you make of it, Watson?
Perhaps because one's wife is a lunatic and he wishes to humor her in her fancy. In order to prevent some accident.
Possibly, Watson, possibly. In any case, it doesn't seem a nice household for a young lady.
It's the money, Mr. Holmes. It's the money I need it so.
Well, yes, the pay is good. Too good. Why should they give you 120 pounds when they can have their pick for 40? There must be some strong reason.
But I have no choice.
Then you've made up your mind to accept?
Yes, I must. I thought if I told you the circumstances, you would understand afterwards if I wanted your help. But you know, I could feel so much stronger if I knew you were behind me.
Certainly you may carry that feeling away with you. At any time you should find yourself in danger.
But what danger could there be?
My dear Miss Hunter, you could cease to be a danger if you could define it. But remember, at any time, day or night, just telegraph me and we'll come to your help.
Oh, of course, Mr. Holmes. Thank you.
It's almost a week since that charming Miss Hunter called. Conditions must be pretty good at the copper pieces, or we could hear from her.
You never know, Watson. You never know. You may not be able to get to a telegraph office.
Nothing very dreadful can happen out in the open country like that.
That's where you're wrong, Watson. My experience with the private alleys in London do not present a more dreadful record of theft under the smiling, beautiful countryside.
Oh, you repeat.
What do you mean? A person of public opinion is waiting for the town. There is no lane so wild that the scream of a cautious child or the thud of a drunken blow does not suggest sympathy and assistance from the neighbors. But the countryside, my dear one, through to the lonely houses, think of the hellish cruelty, hidden wickedness. One year in, year out in such places, and no one the wiser. Had our young friend gone to Winchester, I should not have had this fear for her safety. It's the 5 miles of country which makes the danger. See what it is, Watson.
Oh, thank you. It's telegram wheel, though.
Oh. It's from the Hunter.
Oh, what's she say?
Come at once. I'll reach with the back on Hotel Winchester at 3 this afternoon, but my weekend don't fail me.
What do you suppose is happening?
Hurry, Watson, there's no time to lose. The train for Waterloo Station in half an hour. If we can only get to her in time.
In just a moment, we will follow Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson on their strange journey.
I'll be at the station.
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Miss Hunter waiting for us on the doorstep. Well, take care, Holmes.
Yes. Poor girl is obviously frightened.
Mr. Holmes, so kind of you to come. You see, Dr. Watson.
Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you.
I'm saying this book. I tell you how I have to do that.
There now, Miss Hunter. Perhaps if we go inside, we can get a private sitting room.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. I've ordered 3 this week.
Ah, yes, that's better. Nice, cozy fire. Close the door, will you, Watson? That's right. Now then, first you let the doctor do the pouring while you tell the story. First of all, how'd you like to do?
2 lumps of little cream.
Oh, right, oh.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
Yes, and now?
Well, first of all, I have no absolute ill treatment for Mrs. Newcastle, but however, I guess we do at the beginning.
Yes, that is generally a good place to start.
Well, Mr. Holmes, Copper Beach is a large, innocent house, almost completely surrounded by woods. It's a question from the moment of my arrival. I was met at the door by Mr. Wisconsin and his wife.
And is he...
No, Mrs. He's not married.
Is it?
small, clear-faced woman, much younger than Mr. Lucaster. In fact, I'd rather the creature second wife. She was a good girl by the first marriage. A girl now over 20, but she's not living at the house. Mr. Lucaster said that she couldn't get along with her stepmother, so we sent her to America, to Philadelphia.
And does Mrs. Lucaster strike you as a good woman to get along with?
Oh, no, Mr. Holmes. She's shy and rather quiet. More than one thing surprised me and tears. At first, I thought,
What's the matter with his disposition?
well, he's badly spoiled. He has an ungovernable temper. He seems to take great delight in torturing birds and small animals.
Cousin, little please. And the rest of the household?
There's only one servant. Solo is his name. A rough, uncouth man with a perceptual smell of drink about him. Where the pieces, I don't know. Because he's the only one who can manage Carlos. Carlos and two underfed mattresses kept staying in the stable during the day, but at night they let him out. It was terrible to me. Even Mr. Lucaster was afraid of him. I'm sure he's carrying his hospital to the church.
I wonder why Mr. Lucaster desires such ferocious protection.
Well, I don't know, unless there's something on the top floor of the west wing that he wants to protect.
The west wing, eh?
Yes, the door that leads into it is opposite my room, and it's kept securely locked.
Yes, looks not to me, though. Please, Dr. Steve, don't you rush.
You need to drop the breakfast. Mr. Lucaster asked me to put on a dress which has been laid out for me on my bed.
What was it like?
Well, it wasn't but the material was excellent, and it was particularly brilliant shade, and it looked blue.
Look at you, John.
I put it on and went down to the living room. Mr. Lucaster had placed a chair for me by the front window. He asked me to sit there with my back to the window and to read to him from the French novel. Well, I read for an hour, and at the end of that time, he said I might go upstairs and sleep.
Strange.
I think it's curious to see me sleep it every morning since then. Then the time house had become more and more curious. Why were they so careful to keep him away from the window? I consumed with the desire to see what was going on behind my back. And today I devised a move. I noticed that it had quite a few dreams. Heavy thought treatment. And my home here had been broken, so I concealed the piece of it in my handkerchief and later in my book, feeling sure that Mr. Lucaster would be drunk and notice. Holding the book up, I was able to see everything behind me.
And what did you see?
At first there was nothing. At the second glance, however, I saw a young man in a gray suit leaning against the railing which bordered our field. He was looking earnestly in my direction. Mr. Lucaster must have noticed my surprise, so he burst out angrily.
Your attention must be wandering. That's the second time this weekly red passage. Furthermore, there's an ex-president fellow up the road who's staring at you. Is your friend of yours?
Oh, no, Mr. Lucaster, I don't know anyone around.
I'll kindly turn around and motion him to go away.
What did you better not emergency?
Please, what I listen. Then you don't think how you have any followers?
Very well, Mr. Lucaster.
That will be all for this morning. You come to you and go to your room now. But Mr. Lucaster, I hope you don't. Go to your room, I say. And after the 2 weeks, I'll be aware that too.
Here were the helpful hospitals. If I could only get a view from here, what would this house do? But she left the key in the door to the room. She must be there. I wonder what she There is really simple. It's just one look. Oh, how dark it is. Misty. Wait. Read over. For the middle one is barred, the only one is here. And the bar. Oh, goodness, what's in here? What was it? Oh, this should be the best. Someone's in here. Or maybe something. I can't stand it.
It just sounded weird.
Let's get out of here.
We still have like an hour left on the broadcast.
Your customers buy when they want.
Juice.
Now, Dr. Watson, what about the strange experience of Mr. John Scott Eccles and Wisteria Lodge?
It was a bleak, wintry day. The year was 1892, I believe. We were in our rooms in Baker Street, and Holmes had received a telegram during lunch. He'd read it and sent off a reply. The lunch things were subsequently cleared away, and Holmes was standing in front of the fireplace, smoking his pipe, a thoughtful look on his face. Suddenly, he turned to me with a mischievous twinkle in his eyes.
Watson, you are supposed to be a man of letters. How would you define the word grotesque?
Grotesque? Something strange, remarkable.
No, there's more in it than that. Grotesque. There's an underlying suggestion of the tragic and the terrible.
Yes, but why all this introspection? Who's been using the word now?
This telegram. Read it.
Oh, let's have a look. Just had most incredible and grotesque experience. May I consult you? Signed J.S. Eccles. Sent from the Charing Cross post office. Eccles. I wonder if it's a man or a woman.
Man, of course. No woman would have sent a reply-paid telegram.
No?
No, she would have come herself. And that, if I'm not mistaken, is Mr. Eccles himself. Let's take a peek at him before Mrs. Hudson lets him in. Watson, don't joggle the curtain like that. It's too obvious.
Respectable looking, eh, Holmes? Notice the grey whiskers? Pompous old bird.
Yes. Everything from his spats to the gold-rimmed spectacles and top hat pronounce him a conservative. A churchman, a good citizen, orthodox and conventional to the last degree.
Yes, but what is such a paragon coming here for?
Accidents, my dear Watson, sometimes happen even in the best regulated circles. Here he is. Come in. Say, Mr. Eccles, I presume?
Yes, Eccles. John Scott Eccles. I've just had a most upsetting and unpleasant experience, Mr. Holmes. Most improper, most outrageous.
Pray sit down, Mr. Eccles.
Oh, thank you.
This is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, sir? It's an outrage. That's what it is. Oh, sorry.
May I ask, Mr. Eccles, why you didn't come to me at once?
What do you mean?
It's now 2:15. Your telegram was dispatched at 1:15. And yet one glance at the somewhat disheveled state of your attire shows that the disturbance dates from the moment of your waking.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I never gave a thought to my appearance. My one idea was to get out of that house. But I've been busy since then, running round to the house agents, you know. The fellow's rent was paid right enough.
Come, Mr. Eccles, I'm afraid you've acquired my friend Dr. Watson's horrible habit.
Huh?
He is prone to tell his stories wrong end foremost.
Now, look here, Holmes. I really
Don't interrupt, Watson. Now, Mr. Eccles, will you please give us the facts of the case? Now what? Come in. Oh, so it's you, Lestrade, the watchdog of Scotland Yard. I might have known no one else would come thundering at the door in that fashion. I thought I'd find him here. Are you not Scott Eccles of Coppermouse Lee? Naturally he is. You traced him through his telegram to me. It's all perfectly obvious, so why be so melodramatic?
Who is this gentleman?
Allow me to introduce Inspector Lestrade, mastermind of Scotland Yard.
You've got a places, Mr. Holmes. It's Mr. Eccles I'm after.
And what for, if I may be so impertinent?
A murder of Mr. Aloysius Garcia near Isha.
Dead? You say he's dead?
Now, none of that surprise stuff. This letter was found in his pocket. You wrote it, didn't you?
Of course.
You accepted his invitation to spend last night in his house, didn't you?
Yes.
You did stay the night there, eh?
Yes, but I can explain.
Explain, eh?
One moment, Lestrade. Mr. Eccles was on the verge of telling me what happened during his visit. I suggest we allow him to proceed. Draw up a chair, Lestrade. You might learn something.
Oh, very well, but I warn you, Mr. Eccles, anything you say may be used in evidence against you.
But I'm sure my story was also... Oh, dear.
Go on, please. Go on.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, Mr. Holmes, I'm a bachelor of a rather sociable turn of mind. I cultivate a large number of friends, among them Mr. Gerald Melville. Gerald Melville, the brewer? Yes, that's the one. Oh, having nice a glass of Melville's double brewed first on a hot day, Lestrade.
Oh, Watson, don't interrupt.
Well, it was there some weeks ago that I met a fellow named Garcia. He was, I understood, of Spanish and connected kitchen. One thing led to another, ended by his inviting me to spend a few days at his house, Wisteria Lodge, between Isha and Oxford.
How many were there in his household?
He had a sort of valet butler, a countryman of his named Jose, and a half-breed cook called Grogo.
Queer household to find in the heart of Surrey, eh, Holmes?
Yes, Dr. Watson. So I thought to try. It proved a good deal queerer than I expected.
Now, let's get to the point. You went to the house?
Yes. I arrived last night, a few hours after dinner. Drove over from Isha. Storm was brewing. House was fair-sized, a crazy tumble-down affair. I'll admit I had some doubts as to the wisdom of my visit as we went up the drive.
Delighted to see you, my dear friend. Delighted. I was afraid you might not reach this place before the storm arrived. Jose, you will take the Senor Eccles things to his room. The one in front, across the hall from my own.
Si, senor.
That is he, my priceless Jose.
An English fellow, I must say, Garcia. Looks more like a brigand than a servant.
Yes. That is what makes him so truly remarkable. But come in here into my study. There is a fire and some good red wine and a sandwich for you, which my good Groco has made special. In here. Come.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, this is better. I'll admit I was chilled from that drive. And your hall is a private party, my dear Garcia.
But here we are, what you call cozy, eh? Come, sit by the fire.
I feel good.
A glass of wine, no?
Not a bad idea.
I will have one, too. So, and here is your sandwich.
Thank you. Oh, by Jove. I say, this sandwich is hot.
Yes, a Spanish specialty. It is full of onion.
So I notice.
Yes, what was that?
Sounds like someone at the front door. That is the gate. I say, Garcia. White as a sheet. Is anything the matter?
No, nothing at all. Only that it is so late for someone to be calling.
Look here, I'll go to the door if you're afraid.
No, senor. It's not necessary. Jose will go. Listen, he is going now.
Say we're going now.
Come in. What is it, Jose? What has happened?
Message for you, senor. Let.
Good. Give it to me. So, that is it.
It is what, senor?
Never mind, Jose. And close the door.
Here, Garcia. What's the matter? The letter.
See, it goes into the fire.
Why are you
Trembling. Me? It is the cold. I am not accustomed to this climate. But it is late and I am a bad host, no? You want to go to bed?
Not particularly. And look here. If you're afraid of something, I'm perfectly willing to sit up all night.
Afraid? Come on. Show you to your room. You will take this candle, please.
Oh, that's a bad draft you have in this hall, Garcia. I can hardly keep the candle from blowing out.
This way, please. This is your room, senor. I am in there, across the hall.
Good. Then you can call to me if you get the job.
Or if I see a ghost, eh? Good night.
Good night.
Pleasant dreams.
Pleasant dreams. More apt to have nightmares in a place like this. Not even a fire in here. Looks like an iceberg. Storm's getting near. Not a clock. Sounds like the devil. 10, 11. Right, sure. Midnight. Had no idea it was so late. My watch must have stopped. Says only 11:15. Suppose I forgot to wind it.
Senor Eccles. Senor Eccles, are you still awake?
Well, if I hadn't been, the clock would have wakened me.
No, sorry. Never mind. Next time it strikes only once for 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a revelation.
What I want to say, senor, is the bell by the bed. If you will ring it in the morning when you wake up, Jose will bring you your hot water.
Oh, thanks.
Good night again, senor. So far, I have seen no ghosts.
What does he mean by that? Ghosts. Oh, this would certainly be the place for them. That storm is going to break any minute now. If that candle wouldn't flicker so. Weird shadows. I like the way they move about. Get on my nerves. Let it blow the candle out. That'll finish them. If I can get a little sleep.
the screen, Mr. Eccles?
Well, I wasn't sure. A storm broke about that time. Maybe in the wind. What a curious evening.
The most curious thing about it was the clock. Do you often let your watch run down, Mr. Eccles?
No, I can't say that I do. Well, next morning the storm had cleared. I woke about dawn, tossed about half an hour. When I found that I couldn't go back to sleep, I rang for my hot water.
I rang for my hot water.
It should be in a museum. Oh, it's even colder than that. Confound that, Jose. Where's my hot water? I did like the country. That fellow's probably still asleep.
Maybe if I shut.
Jose! I say, Jose!
Say, Jose.
This place is too quiet. Jose! Grogo, where are you? What the deuce? Why doesn't all this bellowing wake Garcia? Must be a sound sleeper. Garcia! Garcia, are you up? Oh, found the man. Oh, nonsense. I'm getting the job as he was last night. Garcia, wake up! I say, I can see that it's all right. I say, Garcia, are you? Garcia! Look here. He's gone. The bed hasn't been slept in. Garcia! Jose! Garcia! I was thoroughly upset, Mr. Holmes. I ran from room to room shouting. They were empty. The men were gone. My host, the footman, cook, all vanished in the night.
Quite a unique experience, eh, Watson?
Yes, one of the most. I was curious. I packed my bag and set off to visit the chief land agent in the village. But I found everything in order. Garcia had rented the place right enough. Even paid 3 months in advance. My next step was to come into town, call at the Spanish embassy.
Yes?
They had never heard of Garcia. That is the end of my story.
Well, I admit it seems to fit in with what we discovered at Wisteria Lodge. We even found the note you spoke of.
But Garcia threw it into the fire. I saw him do it.
It was a dog break. You're the pitch. I found this crumpled up at the back.
Yes, that's it. I recognize the paper.
May I see it?
What's that?
Our own colors. Green and white, green open, white shut. Main stair, first corridor, 7th right, green baize. Godspeed, sign D. Woman's writing. An assignation of some sort, I'd say.
Well, why should he turn pale if it was just an amorous intrigue?
It was more than that. She writes Godspeed. It was a serious and dangerous undertaking.
Oh, you suppose she is? She signed us up D. He was Spanish. She must have been too. D. Ah, that might stand for Dolores.
Very good, Watson.
Oh, thank you.
But unfortunately, she wasn't Spanish.
Wasn't Spanish? Why not?
She writes to our Spanish friend in English.
Oh, what?
And there were others in it, too. The envelope is addressed in a different hand, a man's writing. And the print of a man's cufflink has been pressed into the sealing wax. A remarkable note. There's something about it I don't quite like. Lestrade, where did you say Garcia was found? Oxshot Common, about an eighth of a mile from his own. Hate that it is. Footprints? Well, there weren't any we could see. The rain had washed them out.
Robbed?
No, his watch and money were left intact. Well, Mr. Eccles, if you don't mind stepping around the yard, I'd like your story in writing.
Certainly, I'll come at once. But I'd like to retain your services, Mr. Holmes.
I shall be delighted to collaborate with Scotland Yard if Lestrade doesn't mind.
And what good would it do if I did?
Then it's settled. I suggest we take a run down to Isha, Watson. I find I have a longing for the country.
Yeah, I'm coming too.
Splendid. Suppose we meet tonight at Mr. Garcia's poetically named villa. What was it? Yes. Wisteria Lodge. I fancy it will be a case of chercher la femme.
Chercher? Oh, French. Look for the woman. Oh, what woman?
The woman who wrote that note. If I'm not mistaken, she's in a decidedly dangerous position.
In just a moment, we'll find out what Sherlock Holmes discovers on the visit to Wisteria Lodge. Every man who takes pride in his appearance should know that handsome, healthy-looking hair needs a hygienic scalp. That's why, when you buy a hair tonic, be sure to get your money's worth. Don't settle for just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml hair tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients, the like of which has never been duplicated in any other hair tonic.
Kreml keeps dry, stubborn hair neatly in place all day, and always gives hair such a natural, well-groomed appearance, never sticky or greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml leaves your scalp feeling so alive and tingling. At the same time, it removes itchy, loose dandruff. It's simply great to lubricate a dry scalp. And if your hair is so dry it breaks off and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable. So men, buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barbershop. Let Kreml help keep your scalp hygienic. Your hair always looking handsome, always looking its very best. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, you and Sherlock Holmes went down to Wisteria Lodge.
Yes, Mr. Barrow, that night found us walking in the neighborhood of Isha. It was pitch black, and there was a wind blowing. Look here, Holmes, why go plodding about on a night like this? There's another storm brewing up. Why not wait until daylight? It's too dark to see anything now anyway. Even the road.
Oh, stop grumbling, Watson. We promised Lestrade we'd pick him up at the villa.
Yes, but
Besides, we've got to rescue that woman. That note was written under pressure. The writing was shaky. Someone else addressed the envelope, sent it off, and lured Garcia to his death. She's probably being kept prisoner at this moment, unless they've killed her, too.
how are we going to find her?
The note ran, main stair, first corridor, 7-point, green baize. That indicates a large house.
There aren't many large houses in the neighborhood.
Right. Moreover, it had to be a house Garcia could get to, do what he intended to do, and be back by 12 o'clock. Less than an hour's time.
What do you mean?
I mean that Garcia invited our friend Mr. Eccles to visit him with one purpose in mind.
Oh, what was that?
He wanted an alibi. That is why the clock struck 12 when Mr. Eccles' watch indicated it was only 11:15, which was the correct time, by the way. Garcia intended to be somewhere else at 12 o'clock.
Yes, but where?
Somewhere within the radius of a mile. There are only 2 large houses within this radius. One belongs to Lord Weaverly, a conservative old fellow. He's out of the question. The other, High Gables, was rented just last month by a man who calls himself Henderson, but who looks like a foreigner. Run by foreign servants, with the exception of the English governess for his little girl.
You think that she may be the woman in question?
I only know she has not been seen for the last 3 days.
That's bad.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that is a light from the Wisteria Lodge shine through the trees.
Starts here ahead of us. Lugubrious-looking place. Eh?
Yes. Come on across the driveway. That's Lestrade sitting in the middle of the study with a light beside him. What's the matter with the man? He's as stiff as a ramrod. Tap on the window, Watson.
Oh, it's you.
What's up, Lestrade? Open the window.
I never expected to see the day when I'd be so glad to see your face, Mr. Holmes. It's been a bad evening.
Here, Watson. Step over the sill. That's it. You can close the window behind you. Now then, Lestrade, what's been giving you the jumps?
Well, it's a lonely, silent house. What with that queer thing in the kitchen, when I heard you tapping at the window, I thought it had come again.
It? What is it?
The devil, for all I know. I got here a bit earlier. I was sitting here reading a book when all of a sudden something made me look up. And there was a face looking in at me through the lower pane.
Good Scott. What was it like?
Well, it wasn't black, nor was it white, sort of a clay color, like it was dead and had earth on it, and the size of it twice as big as yours.
Gracious me.
The face with the worst of it, great goggle eyes and a line of white teeth like a hungry beast. I tell you, I couldn't move a finger. I just shut my eyes and held my breath, and when I got the courage to look again, it was gone, like that, into thin air.
Let's have a look around the house.
Wait till you see what's in the kitchen.
Oh, no time like the present. You know the place, Lestrade. You lead the way.
Not when they're alive. I'll go with you, but not ahead of you.
All right.
Here. Down this corridor to the right.
Watson, you had better hold the lamp. Lestrade's hand doesn't seem to be as steady as usual.
This is the kitchen.
Untidy looking place. Look. What an extraordinary thing. Chicken feathers all over the room.
Yes. A white cock torn savagely to pieces.
And over in that corner is a goat with its throat slit and blood all over the place.
How perfectly beastly.
Yeah, but that's not the worst of it. Here, by the sink. Here's something to make your flesh creep.
Sinister, shriveled up thing. Looks like a barbaric doll or a mummified monkey.
That is no doll, Watson. Nor yet a monkey. That was once a human being.
A South American native, to be exact. What? Down there, some of the wilder tribes have a secret process by which they can dry and dwarf the bodies of their dead enemies until they look like this. It's a voodoo fetish. And all this
It's a
mess of
voodoo
blood and
fetish.
slain animals indicates a South American voodoo sacrifice. South American? Green and white, of course. What is it, Holmes? Never mind, Watson. No time for discussion. Hurry. We must go to High Gables and find the governess. She must be made to talk while she's still able. That's the house. Governess's room is at the back. What's this? Closed carriage without lights drawn. Baggage piled on top. They're trying to make a getaway. We must stop them. How can we? We've got no warrant. Thank heavens I'm not a member of the official police. My revolver's warrant enough for me. Look. Front door's opening. Two men are coming out. One in the great coat is Henderson, as he calls himself. I think I can tell you his real name if I get a look at his face. They're carrying something between them. It's a woman. The governess. Why can't she walk? What have they done to her? They're putting her in the carriage. Come on. We must stop them. Now then, hands up, both of you. Carlo, drive on. Hang on then. Drive on. No, you don't, Carlo. One move to pick up those reins and you'll get a bullet through you. Down to that woman. She's sick. We are taking her to London. You must not stop us. Lestrade, light the carriage lamp. Watson, take a look at that woman. What seems to be the matter with her? Pulse? Pupils of eyes? Oh, yes, she's been drugged.
She's been drugged. She's on the poppy.
You will kill her. She is sick. We must get her to a doctor. Every moment is vital.
No, don't be. He killed Garcia.
Don't listen to her. She's delirious. We must go to a doctor. I am a doctor, my good man. Don't worry. She's in good hands. Dr. Watson will take care of her. Now, Lestrade, if you will remove the gentleman's hat so we can have a good look at his face. Aha! As I expected. Lestrade, arrest this man. He is the murderer of Garcia, and heaven knows how many other poor souls. But who is he? Don Moreno, the Tiger of San Pedro, the most bloodthirsty tyrant that ever ruled the helpless people.
Must say, Dr. Watson, I'm still a bit confused.
Yes, and so was I, Mr. Bell, until the English governess explained the whole thing to me. Don Morello had been a dictator of the country of San Pedro in South America. Its colors are green and white.
Yes, I know.
He was a terrible man who had no scruples about butchering anyone who stood in his way politically. One of his victims had been the Spanish husband of the English lady who later became Morello's governess.
Oh, I see.
His reign of terror ended in a revolution, but he managed to escape the country with all the government funds. The inhabitants of San Pedro plotted to bring him to justice, but failed until the Englishwoman managed to worm her way into his household.
So that's why she was there.
Yes, it is. She and a party headed by Garcia planned to kidnap Murillo and take him back to San Pedro where he could be tried for his crimes. Murillo, however, suspected the governess, intercepted her note, and killed Garcia.
Well, that's perfectly clear now. Oh, just one more thing. The hideous face at the window, what was that?
Oh, that was Grogo, Garcia's huge native cook, who was sneaking back to get his voodoo fetish, the shriveled mummy.
That was certainly a blood-curdling story. Dr. Watson will return in just a moment to give us a hint about next week's story. Here's something of real interest. I'm sure we all know or have heard how beautiful Powers are. But did you know that these famous beauties make up to $35,000 a year?
Which shows they have brains as well as beauty.
Yeah.
But seriously, Joe, what impresses me most is that Powers models can afford to spend a fortune on their hair. Yet when they wash it, they rely on inexpensive Cremo shampoo.
Which proves how wonderful Cremo shampoo really is. Powers models were among the first to discover that no other shampoo leaves hair more shining bright with natural gloss and luster.
And under no circumstances does Cremo shampoo ever dry the hair.
Cremo shampoo is not a soapless shampoo. It's not a cream shampoo. It's not harsh soap or drying detergent. Cremo shampoo is entirely different.
I'll check with that, Joe. After a Kreml shampoo, the hair actually radiates natural, brilliant highlights. And Kreml shampoo even has a built-in oil base, which helps keep hair from becoming dry or brittle. It rinses out so easily and positively never leaves any dull, soapy film.
So, ladies, always wash your hair with Kreml shampoo. It leaves hair a vision of shining, sparkling beauty, yet in no way hurts its texture. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, I'll never think. Next week. No, I won't. Next week, I think I'll tell you about another one of our meetings with the infamous Professor Moriarty. Yes, that's about him.
Moriarty.
It's a strange story. A very strange story of violence, sudden death. Death that struck from the London shadows. I call it the Harley Street murders.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes mystery is adapted from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Adventure of Wisteria Lodge. Nigel Bruce appears with the courtesy of California Pictures. Tom Conway by permission of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McNaught, composed and conducted by Alex Steiner. This is Joseph Bell, speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the Harley Street murders. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting.
Yourself.
Tell them our secret, Stephanie.
No, I will tell you myself, Anatole. After your waltz has been played, Janusz, and Anatole and I shall be the first to have the privilege of dancing to it, I make a public announcement. I is to announce my engagement to Count Anatole Rafon.
Oh, indeed. My congratulations to you both. Lucky fellow. Lucky
Am I not the luckiest of men? Is she not exquisite? I, the gay man of Vienna, the cavalier who swore that no one woman would ever capture him. I confess it, gentlemen, I'm in love. Oh, but I pity you. Even the great waltzes of Vienna could hardly be worthy of this moment.
Oh, Anatole, you are a born flatterer. Oh, come, the waltz is about to begin. I shall see you gentlemen later.
Auf Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen.
The orchestra is tuning up there, Robert. I imagine this is a great moment for you.
A very frightening one, I assure you, my friend. In a few minutes, I shall know whether my new work is to be crowned with success or failure.
Dr. Farlow is leading the princess to the center of the floor. The conductor is raising his bottle.
This is your moment, Herr Robert. Good luck.
Pray for me, gentlemen. Pray for me.
There they go, the princess and Count Farlow. They're stars.
Now, they make a striking pair, don't they?
Here come the other couples out on the floor. Charles. Great Scott! That's the wrong shot.
Princess, she's been shot. Come on, Watson. Out of the way, please. Out of the way. Count Profano, what happened?
Stephanie, Dr. Watson, see what you can do for her.
Count Profano, there's nothing I can do, I'm afraid. She was shot through the brain. She died instantly.
Stephanie is dead.
Stop that devilish music! Lock all the doors! There's a murderer to be found!
Stop that.
Count Profano, have you found any clues?
One of my men found a revolver. It had been thrust into the earth of a potted palm.
May I see it, please?
Here.
Rammed into the soft earth. Confound it. Count Profano, your fiancée was an extremely beautiful woman. You must have had rivals.
Yes, several, but none of them are present tonight.
Who will inherit her estate?
A 6-month-old nephew.
Who's his guardian?
Franz Joseph himself. No, Mr. Holmes. I know of no obvious motive for someone wishing poor Stephanie dead.
Well, perhaps it was a political crime. She was a wealthy aristocrat and a very prominent one.
Yes, it's very possible. Many nihilist assassins have been active in my country recently.
Meanwhile, we have a ballroom full of suspects waiting for us.
I was just going to suggest we went back there. We can't find out very much by staying here in the library.
It's a delicate matter. Almost everyone present tonight is known to me personally.
Now, may I suggest that you go back to the ballroom and have the male guests file past you? To change questioning anyone whose evening clothes do not fit perfectly.
Oh, what's the cut of a man's clothes got to do with this?
Anyone invited to such a ball as this would naturally have his own tailor. I think, Count Profano, if you found a man who had to hire his costume, he might be an imposter and may well prove to be your assassin.
Well, Mr. Holmes, your plan has not been effective so far. You find one Englishman who is what we discover is an English milord whose luggage was lost.
Yes, and the second suspect proved to be a perfectly respectable Viennese doctor whose nasty little child had taken a last-minute snip at his tailcoat with a pair of scissors.
And the third was poor composer, who cannot yet afford a good dress suit, eh? Well, Count Profano, why not have the next suspect shown in?
Yes. Shapr, bring in the next man.
I'm better, a frightful-looking fellow.
Your name, please.
My name is Groening. What do you wish with me?
Your name? Your name was not on the list of invitations.
One moment, please. Let me see your right hand, Herr Groening.
You have no right to touch me.
Now, where did you get these fresh earth stains? Your right thumb is pitted and the nail is full of dirt.
What does that poor policeman...
Now, a short while ago, you tried to hide your revolver by ramming it into an earth-filled flower pot. You know that revolver, please, Profano. It will be easy to compare the samples of earth.
It will not be necessary.
Well, you admit that you murdered the princess tonight, then?
Certainly, I admit it. The oppressor of the poor. I'm glad I killed her. One day, our party will kill all of you filthy aristocrats.
Profano, put down that revolver.
Shoot him like the dark he is.
No, Count Profano. Even you can't take the law into your own hands.
Why do you not shoot me? I'm not the fit to die.
Captain, take the away, Shapr. Thank you for stopping my hand just now. But when he spoke of Stephanie that way, I could have killed him just as he killed her.
Very understandable impulse, sir, but one that would have ruined your life.
My life? Now that she is dead, my life is in. What right to love and beauty have to exist in a world that no longer holds Stephanie? But I am blood, am I? The murder is God, thanks to you, Mr. Holmes, and my life, such as it is, must go on. Somehow.
That's how the story began, Mr. Bartell.
Began? That sounds like the end of the story to me, Doctor.
Boy, the next day, Holmes and I had our interview with His Imperial Majesty and learned the nature of the services expected of us. Services that required our leaving the city. And that's why, my boy, we were gone from Vienna for some weeks. We didn't know that during our absence, Herr Hogarth's waltz, it had such a tragic debut, was beginning to make a sort of morbid existence.
Herr the format waltz. We have had many requests for it. Gladly, we will play it, Herr Baron.
Isn't it Horvath waltz we are playing?
Yes, my dear. And she was working on to the floor to dance to it. Leah Mollenstein, the actress. A beautiful creature.
Are you trying to make me jealous, huh?
Oh, and Himmel, it's Leah Mollenstein. She's been shot.
A new ballet, and to the music of the Horvath waltz.
Magnificent. Never has Krasnova danced better.
Have you ever seen such exquisite pirouettes?
They're getting everybody? These people are just falling.
6 deaths in 4 weeks, Shapr. All beautiful women and all killed to the music of the Horvath waltz. There's a homicidal madman at watch in Vienna. There's only one thing to be done. We must forbid absolutely the playing of that waltz by imperial decree.
Hear all of this, Bartell, until we return to Vienna.
And then, I suppose, Sherlock Holmes was drawn into the case again, Doctor.
My boy Holmes did a very close study of the newspaper reports on the tragedies, and was with great difficulty that I away from his investigations the tender reception of which the Emperor was to thank us for our services on the mission that we just completed. As we arrived at the Imperial Palace, we ran into was the Hungarian composer, Yana.
Dr. Watson, you have heard of the tragedies connected with my walls?
Yes, we have indeed.
I was making a close study of the newspaper reports on them just before I came here.
You must do something, Mr. Holmes. People will hardly listen to other music. They want my waltz. But that is forbidden. I'm losing a reputation and a fortune while that waltz remains unplayed.
Or perhaps, Herr Horvath, you are laying an excellent foundation for a later reputation and fortune.
What do you mean?
All this publicity, however distasteful to you at the moment, must in the long run prove invaluable. Ah, there you are, my dear Count Profano.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm glad to see you back in Vienna. You've heard of the murders?
Yes, we were just discussing them.
I need your help again, my good friend. For over a month now, the murder has been at large, and I cannot seem to get on the trail.
Well, I'm grooming the first killer. What have you done with him?
Released him.
What? Released him? Good Scott, why?
At the hearing, it was obvious the man was an egomaniac. He boasted of the murder of Stephanie, apparently out of pure vanity. The little newspaper editors make quite an issue of the case. They brought the pressure to bear, and we had to let him go.
Confound it. I wish I hadn't left Vienna.
Well, if the fellow's at large again, Country Friar, it's pretty obvious that he's the murderer of the other women, too.
On the contrary, Doctor, he was in prison until yesterday. The last of the murders was committed 3 days ago. Oh, here comes His Imperial Highness Franz Joseph.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Your Highness?
Your Highness.
Well, I think we have very distinguished company tonight. Not only the masterful Sherlock Holmes and his colleague, Dr. Watson, our English friends of your honoring, but I see that we have a distinguished representative from our Hungarian Empire. Colonel Horvath. He brought the success I'm told to agree to proposal from Vienna's women.
Your Imperial Highness is most kind.
There's a pipe organ in here. It's in excellent condition, I'm told. Will you not play us one of your compositions, dear Horvath?
I shall be most honored, Your Highness.
Sit down, gentlemen, sit down.
Thank you.
What shall I play, Your Imperial Highness?
Anything you wish, young man. Anything you wish.
Thank you, Your Highness. With your permission, I choose to play...
Great heavens! He's playing the death waltz.
On your guard, Watson. Even in the Imperial Palace itself, this tour may invoke murder.
You'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just a second, which just gives me time to remind you that if any one wine could be called the perfect wine for almost any occasion, that one wine would be Petri California Sherry. Petri Sherry is not only a fine before-dinner wine, but it's wonderful after dinner, too. And, of course, when you're entertaining or guests drop in, whether in the afternoon or evening, there's nothing better than a glass of Petri Sherry. And it's comforting to know that you can serve Petri Sherry proudly, because the name Petri is the proudest name in the history of American wines. Dr. Watson, you certainly left me hanging on a cliff that time. You broke off your story just as the Hungarian composer started to play his ill-fated waltz to the Emperor Franz Joseph. What happened?
Time, my boy, fortunately nothing happened. Horvath completed his composition without apparent incident, and shortly afterwards we attended a banquet that was given in our honor. A banquet that concluded with a rather curious ceremony, which the Emperor presented Sherlock Holmes with a medal to commemorate his services. What everything was. No matter about that. Finally, shortly after 10 o'clock, I remember, Holmes and I, together with Count Profano, left the royal chambers and started to descend the spiral staircase leading to the main hall.
You greatly honored tonight, Mr. Holmes. I've only known His Imperial Highness to make 3 such presentations before, and they were all to my own country.
You must have made another one. It was about
Please, Watson, please. The Emperor was most kind. I can't help feeling that he over-evaluated my services.
You're being unusually modest, Holmes.
Perhaps because I feel that my visit here is incomplete until I've solved the death false murders.
I hope you'll be able to stay in Vienna long enough to do that. I confess I am at my wit's end.
I've been giving the matter a great deal of thought, Count Profano. I have a plan for trapping the killer. It's in rather an embryonic stage at the moment, but over the pipes at the hotel tonight, I expect to develop it thoroughly. I shall call at your office in the morning and explain it to you.
I shall be awaiting your visit eagerly. One more of these murders and the newspaper outcry might become so loud that I should have to resign my post as chief of police.
Well, when Hobart made that daring gesture and played the death waltz tonight, it proved one thing. It's not infallible. The death of a beautiful woman doesn't always follow the playing of the melody.
That's true, Doctor, but...
Watson,
Yes, sir?
strike a match, will you? Huh? There's a figure here slumped on the landing.
It's got the body of a girl.
A very beautiful girl, too.
Shot through the forehead. You were wrong, Watson. The death waltz is infallible, but I swear to you that the killer has struck for the last time. Ah, there you are, my dear Count Soprano.
Yes, I followed the instructions you gave me this morning, Mr. Holmes. Chainbound is at the moment the smartest restaurant in Vienna. I reserved the best table for you, and I've invited the guests that you named.
A strangely assorted couple, I must say. Janos Horvath, composer, and that grinning fellow, the one that admitted shooting your fiancée, Count Rufano.
As much as I could do to keep my hands off him when he arrived here, Doctor. But Mr. Holmes insisted that I ask you. Just the same, I wish you would tell me his plan. I'm completely in the dark.
In the dark, I can sympathize with you, Count Rufano. Holmes never tells me a thing either.
Let's turn our guest, shall we? In a very few minutes, I'm sure that my plan will be perfectly apparent. Good evening, Herr Horvath.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson.
How do you do, Herr Holmes?
And how are you tonight, Herr Gruning?
Angry at having to come here against my will. My party does not approve of these aristocratic, padded pigsties. But Count Rufano informed me that if I did not come here tonight, I could expect to find myself back in prison. How could I resist such a persuasive invitation?
Here comes the third guest for our table. I met at the hotel a few hours ago. Miss Banks, I'm so glad that you were able to come.
Hello, Mr. Holmes. I didn't know this was going to be a party, but I couldn't be happier.
Allow me to present you, Count Rufano, Dr. Watson, Herr Horvath, Herr Gruning, Miss Barbara Banks from the United States of America.
How do you do, Holmes? I wish I knew what you're up to.
And how can a young American girl afford to come to Vienna, may I ask?
Of course you can ask. My father made a lot of money, and he wanted me to have the advantages he never had.
Your father made money because he ground the faces of the poor.
My father never ground a poor face in his life.
He was a capitalist. I spit on him.
Oh, that's rather unfriendly. And also, geographically speaking, something of a problem. You see, he's living in Wyoming.
You make fun of me.
Only because you made fun of me. Mr. Holmes, I did as you asked me.
I'm very grateful, Miss Banks.
The orchestra leader didn't want to play it. He seemed scared. But I waved a lot of money in front of him, and I promised to pay the fine as well.
Splendid.
Great Scott, I see it all now.
So do I. You persuaded Miss Banks to bribe the ox to leave the play.
My waltz. My forbidden waltz?
Yes, Herr Horvath. I thought that if the request came from a young American, it might seem quite reasonable.
Particularly if the requests were accompanied by American dollars ground out of the faces of the poor.
You are being unpleasant to me, aren't you?
Hang it, your waltz, however. The death waltz.
Mr. Holmes, this is against the law. The Horvath waltz is forbidden by imperial decree.
True, nonetheless, my dear Count, I implore you not to arrest the orchestra leader until after the waltz is completed.
In which case, since I requested it and it's still playing, I'd like a partner. Will you dance with me, Count Rufano?
I'm sorry, Miss Banks, but with this melody I shall never dance again.
Oh, well, how about you, Dr. Watson?
Oh, thank you very much, my dear, but I'm afraid I'm not as light on my feet as I used to be. In any case, I was never much of a hand at the waltz. The polka's more in my line.
Dear me, I'm getting an inferiority
Oh,
complex.
please do not, Miss Banks. You'll observe that the general public seems singularly unwilling to dance, too. Not one couple has ventured onto the floor.
How can you blame them? The ones before that may mean death. How can you blame them?
I'm not afraid. After all, Herr Horvath, it's your own music. I'll dance with you.
You're most kind, Miss Banks, and courageous. But to be a partner of the only woman on the floor would mean ruin. An admission of failure.
My third refusal, I'm a wallflower.
No, my dear Miss Banks, the aristocrats, they're afraid. But I, plain simple Gröning, I will dance with you, Miss
Oh,
Spears.
bless you, Herr Gröning. And I assure you my father does not grind the faces of the poor.
You just grind the faces of the poor this time.
Stop her, it's suicide.
I think not, Herr Horvath.
I think so. And I'll not stay here to watch.
Where the hell is he off to?
You're not very, Doctor.
How much is he leaving?
Rufano has deserted his trail and has slipped behind one of those pillars.
Good Lord, he's drawing a revolver.
Exactly, Watson. He's our man. Put that revolver, Count Rufano. Put it down, I say!
He's turning it on himself. Count Rufano! I still can't believe it, Holmes. Not the fact that Count Frano blew his brains out, but the fact that he was a murderer.
Yes, I was slow to believe it too, old chap, and I blame myself for consequence. Two things should have been instantly apparent about the madman who killed beautiful women when he heard the Horvath waltz. Firstly, he must have had some motivation which drove him to such an act.
Secondly, he must have carried a revolver with him at all times, since he was invariably armed when the occasion presented itself.
Exactly, and that factor made me think the police official. Then, of course, I saw Frano's motivation. He loved the Princess Stephanie dearly. Her death in his arms was a psychological shock that was more than his mentality could stand.
When he heard that music, it reminded him of the dead princess. It forced him to kill.
That's right, old fellow. You his fiancée is dead. What right do love that no longer holds Stephanie? When he heard the music, he couldn't bear to think that other loveliness existed, and so he destroyed it.
But who killed the Princess Stephanie?
The man who was first arrested for it, grinning. He admitted it. After a little persuasion, when the police arrived, taken back to prison in the carriage that just took Count Frano's body.
Shocking to think that 7 innocent women have been murdered before this case was solved.
Yes, a fact that will be a constant, I assure you.
Oh, I didn't mean that, my dear fellow. We weren't even in Vienna when 5 of the killings took place.
Hello. Here comes Miss Banks.
Mr. Holmes, what happened to that funny little man who danced with me?
Half grinning? He went to prison, Miss Banks. He was a murderer.
Well, I must say, this is a strange kind of a party you asked me to, Mr. Holmes. One of the guests blows his brains out, and the other, the only man who danced with me, turns out to be a murderer. Oh, I see now why Father sent me to Europe. Anything like this could never happen in Wyoming.
Look. I was walking out in front of the orchestra.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shh, listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I, the Honorable Solomon, wish to assure you, upon the word of the great English detective Sherlock Holmes, that never again shall my new waltz be an accompaniment from Belgium. Henceforth, its melody will be for life and love and laughter. I have ordered a bottle of the finest cocktail sent to each of your tables. Raise your glasses and praise me as I now conduct my waltz. Free at last from the kiss of death.
Say, Doctor, I really like that story. That was a baffling.
Wasn't it? A highly placed police official is the last person in the world you'd think killed. Confess I wasn't of so much help to Holmes solving that case.
Oh, don't let that worry you, Doctor. After all, Holmes almost missed solving it himself.
Oh, thank you, my lord. Thank you. But it certainly was one of the most interesting cases that I was ever connected with.
I know what you mean. You know, I came across quite an interesting case myself the other day.
Oh, you don't say where?
Right in my own house.
Oh, that's interesting. What kind of case?
Sherry.
Oh, because...
That's right, a case of Petri, California sherry. You see, I buy it by the case, Doctor, because that Petri wine is really extraordinary. But all Petri wine is unusual wine, unusually good, because the Petri family has been making wine for generations. Because this is so, and because the Petri business has been owned and operated by the Petri family ever since its beginning, it is today the largest independent family-owned wine company in America. Naturally, the name Petri on a bottle of wine is more than a trademark. It's the personal assurance of the Petri family that every drop of wine in that bottle is good wine. Naturally good wine because Petri took time to bring you good wine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we
Tonight's Sherlock
have
Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher,
our.
suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur
I don't know what color that is. It's a mix between
The
FDE and
Adventure of
ODE.
Illustrious
I don't know.
Client. Music is by Dean Fostler. Mr. Rathbone
Oh, my
appears
back.
through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is Harry Bartell saying goodnight for the Petri family. This is the world's largest network, the Mutual Broadcasting System.
At first, when Herr Gruning confessed to the killing of the Princess von Kran, I didn't believe it. When the other women were killed, I felt sure that Herr Groning was innocent. I at least suspected Count Refrano of having committed the other murders. But then, that's exactly what Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher wanted, don't you think? The two episodes you have just heard, The Out-of-Date Murder and The Waltz of Death, are part of the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, and are a 1988 copyrighted production of 221A Baker Street Associates. The Sherlock Holmes stories and the characters of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John H. Watson were created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and are used with the kind permission of Dame Jean Conan Doyle. This is Ben Wright. Won't you join me again soon for more new adventures of Sherlock Holmes? Thank you for listening.
And now for our weekly visit with the good Dr. Watson. Let's see if he's waiting for us. Good evening, Mr. Thorpe. Oh, good evening, Doctor.
All right, how long did that take? That's actually, we did that in 2 hours. That's not bad at all.
You haven't come here to listen to Mozart Sonata. You want the story, don't you, young fellow of a lad?
That's right, Doctor.
Well, let's sit down.
All right.
That's better. Now I'll tell you what.
Oh, thanks, Doctor.
Began in Vienna in 1889. Many years
It
before,
is
the insane house painter named Schicklgruber had converted that gay city
30 to 22 on 22 of
And what's Sherlock
2025.
Holmes doing there, Doctor? Just taking a trip?
Mr. Foreman, in those early days of our association, we didn't have the time or the money for just taking trips. No. We were in Vienna because Holmes had been engaged in certain highly important investigations. We were staying in a charming little pension inhabited by students and musicians. And on the night the story began, we'd finished dinner and had returned to our room. I was busy making some notes on the investigation we'd just concluded. And Holmes was scraping away his beloved violin.
What's wrong? Why can't I get it?
Oh, it sounds pretty to me.
Pretty, really, old chap. Amateur. I had my fingers one of that. Listen to this. Sounds like a fiddler's an Irish wake.
Oh, take it easy, Holmes. Take it easy. There's no need to fling the violin down like that.
What? No, chap. Why, with all your other excellent qualities, are you not a pianist?
What's the piano got to do with it?
In this case, everything. There's a piano in this room, and if you could play the Mozart sonata I'm struggling with, might have some meaning. Come in. Oh, good evening, Fräulein. Wish to see me?
You are Herr Sherlock Holmes.
That is my name.
Ja, wish to see you. I'm Herr Ullensteiner, live here in this pension.
I do too. This is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, Herr Doctor?
Glad to meet you.
Fräulein Ullenstein, may I pay my tribute to the brilliance of your piano playing? You have the exact precision of phrasing that Mozart demands.
How do you know of him?
Both Dr. Watson and I were present at the command performance you gave at the Imperial Court a fortnight ago.
Hey, Julius, I knew I'd seen you somewhere before. My friend was just expressing the need of a pianist as you walked in, young lady. Perhaps the
I'm sorry. I do not play with amateurs.
Amateurs? Well, really?
I do not mean to be rude. It's just that my life is dedicated to my professional career.
I quite understand, Fräulein. And now please tell me, what can I do to help you? I must presume you come to see me in my professional capacity.
Yes.
All right, prepare
That is
yourself.
correct, Herr Holmes. Though I realize to a great detective like you, my
Yourself
problem
invited.
must seem quite trivial.
Get yourself a
I-
device.
I'm being blackmailed by a man in this
Your
property.
little snacky food. Get yourself your little
Miss Chandra Arpati, a Hungarian painter who lives in the studio upstairs.
Sandor Arpati. Yes, I think I've heard of him.
Since 2 months now, ever since he know my secret, he's come to me for money. And today he tell me he must have 250 gulden, or he will go to the police. I have not that much money. Herr Holmes, please to tell me what I should do.
Just what hold does he have of you?
My brother, Carl, got into some trouble here, and the police were looking for him. way to München. As you say, Munich, and Sander our party knew of it. He was a friend of mine. So I thought. When this trouble come on my brother, I turned to Shandor for help. He smuggled a car out of the country, and he turned on me for blackmail. A bad man, I wish he was dead.
First blackmailer is a coward at heart. I think Dr. Watson and I will call on the gentleman. By the way, does he have any written evidence of your brother's crime?
Yeah, he has his address in Munich. I show Shandor a letter from him when he first go there, and keep the letter. Will not give it back to him.
And if he gave the police your brother's address, they'd arrest him, eh?
They would, of course. Herr Holmes, will you please to tell me what I should do? I cannot go on this way. My music...
Now, Fräulein, calm yourself. I shall be most happy to help you, and if you will lead the way, we'll see how persuasive we can be with Shandor Apadi.
At the studio, Herr Holmes. At the end of the corridor.
I see. Now, remember, young lady, you'd better let me do most of the talking.
He must be out.
Possible.
Now, look. I think, bearing in mind our father's profession, we'll take the liberty of opening his door.
Looks a very complicated lock to me.
Oh, I think this skeleton key will do the trick.
Very dangerous, Herr Holmes. If Shandor finds you...
No. Don't you worry about that, Fräulein. We're perfectly capable of taking care of ourselves.
There we are. Close the door behind you, will you, Watson?
Can't see a thing. I'll strike a match. Wait, God, look at him. Thumped over his desk.
Light the gas, will you, Watson?
I try home. There.
Judging from his appearance, Fräulein Fullenstein, I think Sandor Apadi had other enemies besides yourself. Less scrupulous enemies.
He's been strangled. Look at the finger marks on his throat.
Is he...
Yes. Body is still warm, though. I'm afraid he's dead.
I am glad. Was a bad man. Deserved to die.
Watson, do you notice that the fingers of the killer have broken the skin and drawn blood?
Yes, so they have.
Should we not communicate with the police?
Before we do that, Fräulein, we must see if we can find your brother's letter. Help me move the body, will you, Watson? Lying across an open dispatch box that might contain the document in question. Come on, Dr. Watson. That's it. For a painter, the late Mr. Apadi was an unusually methodical man. Everything filed here in alphabetical order. Here we are. You, Fräulein Claire Ullenstein. And the letter has the Munich postmark. I think this must be the document in question. Will you examine it, please, Fräulein?
Yeah, this is the letter. Herr Holmes, how can I thank you?
Very little thank you for. If the blackmailer were still alive, I fear it
Okay.
wouldn't have been so
This
simple
was
a
the
matter.
small little scooper spoon that I
wonder
used.
what other treasures this box contains.
Sorry. This was a small scooper that I used. Oh, don't break back. Don't break. All right. And tonight I spent a couple hours on this. We're going to end up this live with this. Here's my test pads. You can kind of see where I started out. I actually started out with that big patch of nice OD green up at the top, the darkest one. It catches everybody's eye. And my last one was, the camera really doesn't pick it up quite like it should. But anyway, that's the OD green. And then here is our FDE, our flat dark earth. It was coming in a little bit dark, a little bit red. And then we just worked it back out until we got to our nice FDE, which is the last one there at the bottom. Here is the powder, the end product. Here's the flat dark earth mixed together. It's pretty light. Here is the other bag that I mixed it out of. I know they seem like they're the same color, but the smaller bag is actually quite a bit lighter. Here's our OD green. It seems pretty gray. It seems pretty blue, but actually when you throw it in the resin, it does come out to be that nice OD green. How do we make it? It's going to be a matte oxide pigment. I think it's some sort of iron. Yellow. Blue. Now the blue was the only true color. Blue was true to what you would think as a primary blue. Everything else, I was worried. When I got this red, and I was like, this is fucking orange. This is not red. Does this look red to you? Does not look red to me. American red. Yeah, well, I needed primary color red, and what I got was American red. So next, does this look yellow to you? It is. No, it is. But they made it look a little bit brighter online. When you look at this, when you get real close, this is like brown. There's a lot of brown in there. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is not as yellow as you might think. Problem. So, how did we lighten it all up? The white came through to save the day. Titanium dioxide. All that came from Bulk Apothecary. Thank you so much to Bulk Apothecary. Without you, I would not have been able to make these custom pigment powders that we will now be using to dye our own resin. And that's then going to go into our products. So starting probably by tomorrow, end of day tomorrow, we will have our first. I don't know what's going to be more popular. I think FDE is going to be more popular, and then OD green. But I think in my area, in the Midwest, OD green is more popular. But we will see. I would think OD green would be more popular, but we will find out what the market calls for. We will only supply it what it needs, what it asks for. Very good. All right, I think that's pretty much going to do the live stream for today. Want to jump back in and look at that one more time. We can talk about what we did a little bit here. The whole goal of this was to make a pairing. Okay, so I had this file already and just made use of it. Yeah, made a few changes to it regarding the fit on the second nub back here to where it wouldn't put so much additional pressure on the pinky. I actually have a broken right hand. So my pinky wants to curl in there, and it was bothering me quite a bit. And I don't know if anybody else has a boxer break out there, but if you do, there you go. I think it's going to fit medium-sized hands a little bit better. It still gives you that nub on the inside where you really need it, right here. But it allows you to do more out here without losing the grab. So I like it. I think it's a big improvement. It's an improvement. It's a great grip right off the bat. It was a fantastic piece. But it didn't have a forward grip that's angled. So, and built in a similar style. I look at it now and I realize I would have probably liked to have made these a little bit flatter. This is kind of extra. I didn't exactly plan that. There was no drawing for this. There was no vision. I just knew I wanted to make an angled grip. And it's definitely something else, that's for sure. Yeah, that's a good look. It's a good look for sure. Could it be better? Yes. Yes, it could be. Okay. Do I like having... Oh, my back. God. Oh, jeepers. I really don't like putting that orange tip on you. All right, I think that's going to do it for the live stream. I could sit here and look at it for a while, but I do like it. Oh, I need to put some grips on the back. What am I doing? I think these need to be undone. Zoink. All right. That's what I love about history. You can just undo that. Oh, my back. Well, I don't think that's going to be effective. Is it perfect? No. I don't know. That kind of seems excessive. Okay. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I wish there was a way I could just move this just a little bit. Nope, it doesn't make any sense. I was worried about that. It didn't match the lines. I saw that from the beginning. We have straight lines on the side, so we will follow those straight lines. Does make it easy though. A little less cool, a little more easy. Jeez. 3 a.m. It is 3 a.m. in the morning. Oh, yeah. That's what it was missing the whole time. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-bee-dee-bee-boo-boo-doo. Ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-dee-bee-bee-bee-bee-boo-boo. Bo-ba-da-ba-da-bee-bee-bee-bee-bee-bee-bo-bo-bo-bee-bee-bee-bo. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. I like that. Yep. I think that's about as good as a shot as you can get right there. think that's going to be a little bit better. All right, that ought to do it. Nope. I was going to take that off. It's just I don't know what Amazon does and does not allow for photos. right now I'm thinking about how I could use something like this. I need to do a screen recording to make my own videos here. For Amazon. Something like that. That's all. Just a little quick 360. With like a motion. Kind of dreaming a little bit now. But that's all right. This is a good. It's a good start. We've got something like 8 hours left until these grips are done printing. I've managed to sell 2 of these California grips overnight, so I think that's great. And I would love to maybe get this printed up and send it out as a gift. That's going to do it, though, for the live stream. It's been real. One last look at everything. I think it's good. It's a good look. Could round out that bottom hole a little bit more to match that other one. Yeah, I like that. I think that's all right. Yeah, the way it was is better. You're right. It's a little bit on the thin side. I didn't realize that while I was putting it together, but it is. Nothing I could really do about that. It is still pretty thick, honestly, as far as it's 16 mils thick. That's more than enough. It's going to be plenty hollow on the inside. I'm going to have it printed pretty hollow. So. Whatever. All right, we're out of here. Thank you for spending your time with me today, right now. Whatever day, whatever month, whatever season, whatever year it is. Thank you. Like always. Have a great day. Appreciate you.